Why? Hearing the dial tone on the other end of the line, Eleanor Hayes stared into a corner of the room, mumbling to herself, feeling both helpless and lost. She didn't know what she'd done wrong, or where she hadn't been good enough. She couldn't understand why, after just one night, Leo would leave without a word, even deleting and blocking her on his social media, not even giving her a chance to apologize. A wave of nausea rose from her stomach. She clutched her abdomen and dry heaved a few times, but nothing came up. Just then, her parents pushed open the door, walking in to see Eleanor retching. Catherine Hayes rushed over in a panic, wrapping an arm around her daughter's shoulders. Eleanor, what's wrong? Tell Mommy, what does it hurt? Seeing her daughter in this state, Catherine's heart ached so much her voice trembled on the verge of tears. Harrison Hayes stood before them, hands on his hips, his lips pressed into a tight, nervous line as he looked at his haggard daughter, wanting to speak but holding back. Mom, where's Leo? Eleanor murmured, her heart feeling like dead ash. Her exquisite face was a ghastly white. I don't know either, honey, Catherine said, caught in a bind, unsure how to tell her daughter the truth. Last night, Leo told me that being with you was too much pressure. He said he wanted to part on good terms. Harrison couldn't watch anymore. He pulled a crumpled cashier's check from his pocket and handed it to Eleanor, deciding to just rip the Band-Aid off. I saw how he'd been spending all his time with you, so I was going to give him some money to help him with his career. But who knew? The kid filled out the check and then refused to take it. He asked me to tell you to live a good life and not to think about him anymore. Harrison's vivid account was a desperate attempt to preserve Leo's image, to make the lie sound plausible. Unfortunately, what Harrison didn't know was that the two of them had made their relationship official in the private room just yesterday. How could Eleanor possibly believe such a flimsy lie? Impossible. Eleanor didn't even glance at the check, tossing it aside. She shot to her feet, strode toward her father, and stared furiously into his eyes. You know something, don't you? You did this. You told Leo to delete me, didn't you? Say it. Say it. Harrison remained silent, his brow etched with a mixture of frustration and helplessness. Catherine quickly stepped between them, trying to mediate. Eleanor, don't get worked up. Please calm down. Your father was only doing this for your own good. Seeing the two of them in cahoots, Eleanor knew. It really was her control-freak father who had orchestrated everything. In that instant, shock, confusion, fear, resentment, and despair. Every negative emotion she had suppressed for over a decade, which she had only just managed to rein in, surged and churned within her. Even the hope and the intoxicating bliss of new love that Leo had given her yesterday became tangled up in it all. Harrison Hayes, fuck you. Are you even my father? You have to control every goddamn thing. You fucking bastard. Eleanor completely snapped. She screamed her father's full name, her voice terrifyingly furious, unleashing every curse word she could dredge up from her memory in a hysterical tirade. The crude, vulgar language stunned both of her parents into silence. By the door, the bodyguard, Mark, was wide-eyed with disbelief. He never imagined that the gentle, well-mannered young woman he knew would ever curse at her father with such vile words. The greater and longer the suppression, the more dramatic the rebound. Eleanor had always been the perfect child in every parent's eyes. Whether it was her grades or her etiquette, she was freakishly excellent. She was a master of the arts. But the more obedient Eleanor was, the stricter her father's control had been, and the more repressed and closed off she became inside. The longer she existed at one extreme, the easier it was for a single trigger to catapult her to the opposite one. Cursing her parents. That was an act of profound disrespect anywhere in the world. It was the primary manifestation of Eleanor's leap from a perfect daughter to an extremely rebellious one. Ugh! Another wave of nausea hit her, and she began to dry heave again, her whole body trembling. When a person is in a state of extreme despair and rage, they can't cry. Instead, they tremble uncontrollably and retch like this. From her continuous screaming, Eleanor's brain was momentarily deprived of oxygen, and she almost couldn't catch her breath. This time, the retching was so violent she threw up green bile. Though only a small amount splattered on her white dress, it was enough to terrify her parents. Eleanor, are you okay? Please don't scare Mommy. Although Catherine was still reeling from her daughter's verbal assault, she lovingly pulled her unsteady daughter into her arms, crying out, Mark, get the car ready. We're going to the hospital. Yes, ma'am. Mark turned and bolted for the garage. Get away from her. Harrison tried to step forward to help, but Catherine's shriek stopped him cold. She had already made up her mind. As soon as her daughter was settled, she was divorcing this heartless man. I had to find Leo. As if experiencing a final burst of energy, Eleanor broke free from Catherine's grasp and stumbled toward the door. She had to explain to Leo that this was all her father's doing, that she didn't want to be separated from him. "Mark, stop her!" Harrison shouted urgently. In her current state, Eleanor could barely manage the stairs. He couldn't let her leave the house. Mark understood immediately, grabbing Eleanor's thin, cold arm. "Miss, please calm down. Let go of me." Eleanor thrashed, pulling at her arm like a madwoman, kicking and hitting Mark, all traces of her former graceful, ladylike demeanor gone. In that moment, she was manic and defiant, like a completely different person. But Mark's strength was astounding. Rough and tough, he was unfazed by her blows. Enraged, Eleanor lunged forward and bit down hard on his muscular arm, using every ounce of strength she had. Her pearly white teeth broke the skin, drawing blood. "This!" Mark sucked in a sharp breath of pain, but didn't dare let go. The kicking and punching were nothing. As a former Special Forces soldier, he could handle that. But the bite of an adult, especially one as furious as Eleanor, was not to be underestimated. She could have easily torn a chunk of flesh out. I fucking hate all of you." Eleanor screamed, exhausted. She suddenly felt a rush of blood to her head. Her vision went black, and her mind swam. Finally, she collapsed like a heap of mud into Mark's arms. "Eleanor, get my daughter to the hospital. Now." Ding. "Congratulations, host. You have acquired divine talent. Master combatant, divine talent, master combatant. The host's fighting skills will undergo a qualitative leap. Combined with the host's enhanced physique, the host will be an unstoppable force in the field of combat." Around 6 in the evening, inside Leo's apartment at Evergreen Terrace, Lily Reed was in the kitchen cooking, wearing a cartoon print apron. Leo, fresh out of the shower, was in the bathroom opening the reward box he'd gotten from Eleanor. In an instant, countless fighting techniques and insights flooded his mind, churning like a tidal wave before being deeply etched into his brain. Despite getting such a great reward, Leo wasn't in high spirits. After all, it had come from the little heiress. Who would have thought that just one day after they'd made things official, they would go their separate ways? But there was nothing he could do. Her old man had personally stepped in to stop them. If Leo continued to see Eleanor behind his back, Harrison Hayes would not stand by idly. That old man had so much influence in Portland. What if one day he sent someone to investigate Leo's messy life and used it to threaten him? Leo would end up losing everything. Better to make a clean break now than wait for disaster. So, the moment the cruise ship docked that morning, Leo had decisively deleted the heiress's contact info and left without so much as a goodbye. Damn, I hope nothing bad happens, he thought. The occasional siren wailing in the distance made him inexplicably anxious, a nagging feeling that something was about to happen with Eleanor. Just then, he faintly heard a series of urgent knocks at the front door, followed by Lily's voice. "Hello, can I help you?" A woman's tearful voice, one that sounded vaguely familiar, replied, Please, does Leo Shepard live here?" "Shit, Catherine Hayes." Leo immediately recognized the voice. It was Eleanor's mother. "Don't tell me something really did happen." Leo scrambled to get dressed, not even bothering to dry his hair, a wet, messy mop on his head. He threw open the bathroom door. Standing in the living room were Eleanor's parents, Catherine and Harrison Hayes. By the door stood their full-time driver, Mark, his arm wrapped in gauze. "Now, Leo, Eleanor, Wait, let's talk outside." Leo cut Catherine off sharply. "If you say one more word, you can leave." Lily wasn't an idiot. If Catherine let anything slip, she would definitely sense something was wrong. Leo didn't want his own house catching fire before he'd even started to deal with the situation with the heiress. Okay. Outside. Let's talk outside," Catherine said, her lips trembling. Her eyes were red and swollen like peaches. Leo could already feel it. Something had definitely happened to Eleanor. After her parents stepped into the hallway, Leo, still dressing, spoke to Lily with feigned impatience. "Parents of a friend. Looks like their kid is in some kind of trouble. I have to go out. You go ahead and eat tonight. Don't wait up for me." "Okay, I understand," Lily replied obediently. Her trust in Leo was high. She generally didn't pry into his affairs. Seeing Leo about to head out in just a fleece-lined long-sleeved shirt, Lily added thoughtfully, "It's cold out. You should wear something thicker." "I'll be fine." Leo slipped on his shoes. "I'm leaving. Get to bed early. If it's nothing serious, I'll be back soon." "Okay," Lily replied, a thoughtful look on her face. After Leo closed the door behind him, Lily covered the cooked dishes with a food net. Then she took a bundle of noodles from the refrigerator and started boiling them. "What happened?" Leo asked impatiently as they reached the elevator. Is something wrong with Eleanor? Catherine sobbed, her words tumbling out. Eleanor is in the hospital. She cut her wrists. What the fuck? For real? Leo looked at Harrison in disbelief. He had expected Eleanor might do something drastic because he left, but attempting suicide in the hospital was something he had never imagined. Harrison's gaze darted away for a moment before he nodded heavily, his voice filled with regret and frustration as he explained. After Eleanor was brought to the hospital and woke up, her parents had comforted her for a long time, and she'd finally said she needed to be alone. Thinking she needed some quiet time, they sent all the nurses out and called Dr. Nicole Zhang to come and resume her treatment. But by the time Dr. Zhang arrived, Eleanor was lying unconscious in a pool of blood, a broken piece of floor tile in her hand. An investigation revealed that Eleanor had used the snow globe Leo gave her to smash a floor tile, then used a larger shard to cut her wrist. Fortunately, the edge of the tile was relatively dull. She hadn't lost too much blood, and the doctors were able to stabilize her with first aid. But Dr. Zhang told her parents that the thread holding Eleanor's psyche together had finally snapped. Given her extremist personality, if left unsupervised, she could attempt to take her own life again at any moment. And so, her parents had rushed over to Leo's place, hoping he would go see their daughter. The thought that his birthday gift had almost become a memorial gift for Eleanor made Leo sigh. Damn, he muttered regretfully. If I'd known, I would have just bought her a plastic one. They drove to the hospital. After getting the room number from her parents, Leo raced to the ICU. At the door, he saw a listless Eleanor. She hadn't noticed his arrival. Her eyes were vacant as she sat propped up in bed, her face a horrifying shade of white, her lips tinged with purple. She looked as if her soul had been ripped out, staring blankly at a spot on the floor still stained with traces of blood. Leo followed her gaze. A floor tile was missing, and the surrounding white tiles were marked with dried blood and flecks of shimmering blue liquid. Amidst the blue were tiny, scattered, glowing snowflakes. It hit him then. That was from the birthday gift he'd given her. That thing was cheap anyway. Leo rubbed his nose guiltily and offered a weak smile. When you have time, I'll buy you another one. Hearing the familiar voice, Eleanor's head snapped up. She stared at Leo, and color slowly returned to her empty eyes. Her impassive, cool features began to tremble, as if she were about to burst into tears. 1. Rest up and get well. When you're better, you can move in with me. I'll never leave you again. 2. How could you be so foolish? Does it hurt? Don't you ever do this again. 3. Damn impressive. You've even learned how to slit your wrists. But for someone like you, the pain from that was probably a reward, right? Damn impressive. You've even learned how to slit your wrists. Leo walked over and sat on the edge of her bed. He took Eleanor's cold, pale arm, his eyes on the blood-soaked gauze around her wrist as he teased her gently. But for someone like you, the pain from that was probably a reward, right? Ding. Eleanor Hayes' affinity for the host has increased by 5 points. Current affinity, 58. Please continue your efforts. It really hurt, Eleanor said, her shoulders shaking as she wiped away tears. Seeing the man she had been yearning for back by her side, she complained through sobs of joy. Damn it, it didn't feel good at all when I did it. But when I thought about you being gone, my heart hurt even more. It felt like nothing else mattered. She didn't blame Leo for leaving without a word, nor did she question why he had deleted her. For a girl who had just clawed her way back from an emotional abyss, having Leo back was the greatest happiness imaginable. Leo reached out and wiped the tears from her cheeks, asking with an intrigued expression, I heard from your dad on the way here that you cussed out your parents at home. They said you took their money, and that I should just part ways with you amicably. A flash of hatred and resentment crossed Eleanor's eyes as she nodded meekly. But I know you're not that kind of person. My dad must have threatened you. That old bastard, Leo thought, glancing at the two parents eavesdropping at the door. You're the one who told me to leave her, and now you're the one telling me to come back. And on top of being ordered around, you pin all the blame on me. He was just thankful nothing truly terrible had happened to Eleanor. Otherwise, the guilt would have eaten him alive. Next time, don't swear at them like that. It's not effective, Leo coached her, feeling a sense of vindication. If they get unreasonable again, just call them fucking boomers. It's direct and to the point. My sister used to call me that all the time. Why isn't it effective? Eleanor blinked, her eyes full of curiosity. And what's a fucking boomer? It means old and out of touch. As for why it's not effective, it's because you don't have the equipment. After a brief explanation, Leo added with a wicked grin, those kinds of curse words only have an impact when a guy says them. When a girl is beautiful as you says them, People will just hope you follow through on the threat. Eleanor stared at him for a second, then blushed and burrowed into her blankets, her shy eyes peeking out as she grumbled. You're still so annoying. Glad you know. Are you feeling uncomfortable anywhere else? No, now that you're back, I feel like nothing is wrong at all. The two of them began to chat comfortably. Eleanor's mood gradually improved, and Leo even managed to make her laugh a few times. The light slowly returned to her once dull eyes. At the doorway, her parents and Dr. Nicole Zhang, who had just returned from a consultation with the physician, were stunned by the harmonious scene. They couldn't believe that the Eleanor who had been trying to kill herself just moments ago was now being coaxed by Leo into acting like a little girl who'd just been given candy. If not for the bandages on her wrists, no one would believe that the smiling, chattering girl in the hospital bed had tried to end her life with a piece of tile less than half an hour ago. Dr. Zhang sighed in admiration. This kid has such a silver tongue. It's a real shame he's not in my line of work. What do you think? Should we still try to keep them apart? Catherine asked, looking with lingering fear at her laughing daughter. She had never seen Eleanor so lively in all her years as a mother. What is there to think? She can't live without him now. Harrison sighed helplessly. Forget it. After the holidays, we'll talk to his parents. We'll find a good day for them to get married. Harrison thought it over. Although Leo came from a humble background, he had his merits. Harrison had seen the short videos Leo directed. While some of the content was a bit lowbrow and borderline risque, he was undeniably making real money. The kid had skills and a mind for business. Once they were married, Harrison planned to bring Leo into his company and give him a position. He'd make a passable son-in-law. Of course, all that was secondary. The main thing was that his foolish daughter was now completely inseparable from the boy. Other than throwing in the towel, Harrison couldn't think of any other solution. About 10 minutes later, the couple and Dr. Zhang entered the room. Leo tactfully moved away from the bed, giving them space. Hello, Leo. I'm Eleanor's attending physician, Nicole Zhang. She's told me a lot about you during our sessions. Dr. Zhang extended a hand with a warm, friendly smile. Also, I've been following that web fiction series you're directing. I guess you could call me a fan. Hi, nice to meet you. Leo smiled and shook her hand, casually sizing her up. He had to admit, her figure was incredible. The blonde hair and blue eyes were clear signs she was mixed race. Her gray business suit was stretched taut over a frame, the buttons looking like they were about to pop. A pair of matching gray slacks hugged her full hips, the fabric straining at the seams. Tall and voluptuous, with a body as ripe as a peach. It was hard to believe she was only 25. If Lily's figure was a slender branch bearing heavy fruit, then Dr. Zhang's was the standard Western beauty ideal, thick branches and lush leaves. A shame, Leo had heard, that the bloom of Western beauties was often short-lived. After a few years, even the best figures tended to become heavy, and their looks would fade. Wait, what am I thinking? I'm getting way off track. The heiress is still sick right here next to me. Leo subtly shook his head, pulling his gaze away from Dr. Zhang. But just then, the system's options appeared. 1. You're the most beautiful mixed-race woman I've ever seen. Did you know you have stars in your eyes? Can you teach me English? What's your number? 2. Ask about Eleanor's condition to start a conversation. Then, using the excuse of wanting to understand her illness better, get her contact information and ask her out for a meal. Repeat as needed until conquest is assured. 3. Hey there. Would you be interested in being the leading lady in my next project? Your figure is pretty amazing. If you were filming a scene where you fall, the resulting ripples would be magnificent, right? So, how is Eleanor's condition now? Leo asked with concern. Will the wound on her wrist get infected or leave a scar? No, those are minor issues, Dr. Zhang said, brushing back a lock of her golden hair. The main problem right now is her psychological state. It's quite serious. She can't handle any more shocks like this for a while. I see. Leo nodded thoughtfully, quietly watching Eleanor's parents talk with her. He was in no mood to hit on this foreign beauty right now. Leo, let's exchange contact info. I'll probably be in the country for a while, and I am Miss Hayes' primary therapist, Dr. Zhang said with a warm smile. Right now, you're the key to her recovery. It'll be easier for us to discuss her condition if we're in touch. No problem. Leo immediately took out his phone, and they added each other. It was all for the sake of the potentially volatile heiress. Honey, how are you? Are you feeling any better? Catherine stroked Eleanor's cheek, which was slowly regaining its color, her voice full of pain. From now on, your father and I won't interfere with you and Leo anymore. You just need to focus on getting better, okay? Don't you ever have thoughts like that again? Eleanor's eyes widened in disbelief. She looked from Catherine to Harrison, who stood behind her with his arms crossed and a complicated expression on his face. And I won't be as controlling as I was before. Just get well, Harrison said reluctantly, though it was clear he was far from happy about it. After the holidays, you and Leo will get married. Whoa, whoa, whoa. What's this about getting married after the holidays? Leo was in the middle of thinking of a contact name for Dr. Jean when he heard his fate being decided. He quickly interjected, "Are you to my mom and dad? What gives you the right to make decisions for me?" "I don't agree." "What? After all this, you're not getting married?" Harrison asked, stunned. "You don't like my daughter? Or is our family not good enough for you?" "Of course I don't like her," Leo said with a heart of stone. "I have a girlfriend, you know. You saw her when you came to my apartment." "Dad, Mom, I don't like Leo either," Eleanor said, shooting Leo a resentful glance before calmly explaining. "We're just friends." "But then why were you both acting like it was the end of the world?" Catherine was completely bewildered. "Ma'am, we really are just platonic. We're just very close," Leo said, patiently spinning his tail. "You can think of my relationship with Eleanor as being like best girlfriends." At this juncture, Leo would rather die than admit he liked Eleanor. If he so much as nodded, Harrison would genuinely force him to the altar after the new year. Fortunately, the heiress was smart enough to understand he was just trying to muddy the waters. If she hadn't backed him up, he would have had no way of making the lie stick. Harrison gave Leo a long, serious look. After a moment of silence, he spoke, his voice heavy with complex emotions. "Fine, if that's how you feel, I won't force you. From now on, you two could just be friends." He clapped a heavy hand on Leo's shoulder. "And I hope you won't do anything to betray your girlfriend." The implication was clear. Harrison considered the possibility that Leo and his daughter were colluding to lie to him, but he couldn't figure out a reason for it. It couldn't be that his daughter was willing to be the other woman. Could it? That was too absurd. Besides, their interactions in the past hadn't been overly intimate. The idea that they were just very close friends of the opposite sex was, at least, plausible. This guy is really not afraid of death. He actually convinced Eleanor to lie for him, Dr. Jean thought. She, of course, knew the real story. She couldn't believe that not only did Eleanor like a two-timing player, but she was also willing to lie to her own parents to protect him and let him cheat on his girlfriend. What kind of magic did this guy possess? Late into the night, after comforting Eleanor for a long time, her parents finally left with their bodyguard. As the wealthiest couple in Portland, they were incredibly busy and had already pushed aside many responsibilities to care for Eleanor. Watch closely. This woman's name is Xiao Mei. Inside the ICU room, Leo lay on an adjacent bed, casually scrolling through TikTok. He planned to stay and keep the heiress company for the night. Eleanor lay on her side, quietly watching the relaxed Leo, a contented smile permanently gracing her pale face. After Dr. Zhang went to the restroom, only the two of them were left in the room. Eleanor struggled to get out of bed, shakily making her way toward Leo. "What's wrong?" Leo quickly got up to support her. "Do you need to use the restroom? I can call a nurse." "No," Eleanor said, her face blushing as she pressed against his chest and murmured, "I want to sleep with you." "Hey, can you stop messing around?" Leo said, supporting her weak body while glancing nervously toward the door. "If your doctor comes back and sees us like this, she'll definitely guess we're not just normal friends." "Then text her and tell her not to come back," Eleanor hummed nonchalantly. She took Leo's hand and unsteadily fell onto his bed. "I give up on you," Leo said with a helpless smile. He quickly took out his phone and texted Dr. Zhang, maybe you should head home and rest. I can take care of her by myself." The appeared for a moment, then a crisp reply came through. "Okay, you're the best medicine for her right now anyway. If anything happens, just call a nurse. I'm heading out." "Come on, Leo. It's cold out here," Eleanor said, lifting the warm covers and patting the spot next to her expectantly. Aside from her pale complexion, you'd never know she was a patient who had just attempted suicide. "Damn, why does it feel like we're in a hotel instead of hospital?" Leo grumbled with a wry smile, but he still climbed into bed with the heiress. In the blankets, which smelled faintly of disinfectant, the heiress happily snuggled into Leo's arms, hugging his sturdy arm. She lifted her delicate, pale face and said, with shocking expectation, "Leo, let's do the deed." "I know what you're going to say." Leo quickly cut her off. "You're not well yet. Can we wait until you're better? Let's just quietly scroll through TikTok, okay?" "Leo, why is your TikTok feed all videos of girls dancing? And they're barely wearing anything. Are you kidding? This is a premium account, not for sale at any price." When you're better, you can dance for me, okay?" "Okay, when I'm better, I'll learn how." Hey, where is that? The scenery is so beautiful. Lake Tahoe, probably. I hear it's the sea of love for young people, but it's likely all hype. Nothing special. The sea of love? Will you take me there someday? I want to see it. No problem, once you're better. Hey, we can talk, but keep your hands out my pants. What the hell is that hand doing? Lady, this is a hospital. Can you act normal? Around 2 in the morning, in the ICU, on the warm, wide hospital bed, Eleanor rested her head on Leo's arm. A lazy, sweet smile played on her lips as she snuggled against his chest, contentedly watching the TikTok videos on his phone. Feeling the familiar scent of the man beside her, Eleanor's heart was full. For a girl as sheltered as her, this was probably what falling in love felt like. Even doing nothing, just being by Leo's side, made her feel incredibly happy and secure. Leo, what are we now? Eleanor's eyes shone with joyful expectation. Are we dating? Leo hummed, wrapping an arm around her neck and pulling her slender, weak body closer. This small, caring gesture made Eleanor ecstatic. The usually elegant and cool-headed girl excitedly nudged her head against Leo's cheek like a charging calf. Hey, are you a kid? This childish display of affection made Leo laugh. And you're billionaire's daughter. Even my sister isn't this childish anymore. I am childish, Eleanor giggled, her smile both healing and radiant. Indeed, when a normally cool and reserved girl smiled so sweetly from the heart, it was truly captivating. Leo was beginning to understand the foolishness of ancient kings who would start wars just to see a beautiful woman smile. Eleanor shifted her weak body, moving closer to Leo, and lifted her neck expectantly. Leo, I want you to kiss me. Oh, come on. Don't be so impulsive, Leo said, turning his head away with a playful scolding. Lie down and watch TikTok. We need to get some sleep soon. This is a hospital. Stop thinking about getting frisky. I'll let you touch my leg. Eleanor took Leo's hand and placed it on her thigh, covered by the hospital gown. Babe, you're the best. Come here. Leo couldn't refuse. He wrapped his arms around Eleanor's slim waist and began to kiss her, his hands on her legs growing bolder. Leo, you're bad. You're bullying me. Eleanor's eyes were misty, and her aggrieved expression of being bullied only fueled Leo's arousal. After a few short breaths, Leo pulled the heirs back in for another kiss. If not for the injury on her wrist, he might have actually done something more risque with her, right there in the hospital. Leo, say you like me, Eleanor pleaded, holding Leo's face, panting heavily. Leo was a bit surprised. Huh, why now? You said you didn't like me earlier. It made me so sad. Eleanor's voice was laced with tears. 1, babe, I like you. Will you be my girlfriend? I'll be as good to you as I am to them. 2, say nothing. Continue to take advantage of her, maintaining a position from which you can advance or retreat. 3, babe, a doctor might come by for rounds. Let's go to the bathroom. Will you give it to me? I'll love you forever. Babe, I like you. Will you be my girlfriend? Leo confessed sincerely, unable to bring himself to say the second half of the sentence in such a sweet atmosphere. Though it would have made her position clear, he wasn't that heartless. Maybe I'm just not cut out to be a player, Leo thought. I get so invested in every girl. Eleanor was visibly moved. She sniffled without speaking, a single tear rolling down her cheek as she nodded vigorously. Leo knew that in this situation, it was time to implement option 2. He kissed her again, deeply and passionately. A long time later, they finally calmed down, cuddling together as they continued to scroll through TikTok. Leo, why did you buy me just now? Eleanor licked her pink lips, seemingly savoring the lingering sting. I was marking my territory, Leo shamelessly fibbed. So you'll be mine from now on, okay? Okay. Eleanor nodded happily, then bit down hard on the same spot, as if trying to deepen the mark Leo had left. Leo stayed at the hospital for 2 days, and then the heiress was happily discharged. The truth was, Eleanor had no serious physical ailments. With Leo by her side providing talk therapy, her psychological issues healed at a rapid pace. After a simple dressing for the wound on her wrist, she obediently left the hospital with him. Okay, Mom, I'll be right back. Leo's driving me. I know. In the underground parking garage, next to Leo's BMW, Eleanor hung up the phone with her mother. She immediately opened the driver's side door, sat on Leo's lap, and started kissing him passionately. After the recent roller coaster of events, Leo discovered that Eleanor's personality had changed, or rather, it had solidified. In front of others or her parents, Eleanor was still the same smart, sweet girl. The only difference was that she was no longer cold and quiet. Instead, she smiled a lot more, was full of hope for life, and had even become a bit of a chatterbox, occasionally dropping a few crude words. But in front of Leo, Eleanor became incredibly bold, completely shedding any sense of maidenly reserve. As long as no one was around and the corner was secluded enough, it was as if she switched personalities. She would cling to Leo with bold and fiery affection, her mind filled with adult thoughts, always trying to take things a step further. A few times, she had teased him so much he'd almost lost control. From now on, in the driver's seat, Eleanor pulled away from Leo, breathless, a sweet and slightly seductive smile on her lips. "I'm your fourth girlfriend. Don't you dare neglect me, you bad boy." One Sunday afternoon, in the most bustling district of downtown Portland, inside a 12-story office building, workers of all kinds were busy, moving back and forth. The sounds of power saws, sledgehammers, and conversations echoed across the floors. Hundreds of workers were renovating the building, worth over $50 million, into an entertainment and media agency. This was the same building Harrison Hayes had offered Leo on the cruise ship to get him to leave Eleanor. A few years ago, the building had been listed for $34 million, far exceeding its construction cost. Any business person knew it was an incredible deal. It was located in Portland's CBD, the city's core business district, surrounded by five-star hotels, famous restaurants, and various tourist attractions. During holidays, the foot traffic was unimaginable. Business people always use money to make more money. Anyone who could acquire this building and operate it for a while was guaranteed a profitable venture, no matter what it was used for. When it was put up for sale, big names from the business world had scrambled to bid, driving the price up to its current $56 million. Even so, the operations department of the Hayes Group had dithered, never selling the building to any single company, at most renting out space for a while. After much consideration, the higher-ups decided to convert it into a travel company for them to run themselves. But no one in the operations department could have imagined that old Mr. Hayes would, with a wave of his hand, so casually transfer this golden goose to some unknown little director. The reason was simple. His precious daughter was like a new person. She had become obedient and cheerful, her face often graced with a smile, no longer sullen and melancholic. His entire life had been for his daughter. Now that she had changed so much, he and his wife were naturally very grateful to Leo. Although Harrison still had his doubts about their platonic friendship, as long as Eleanor didn't admit it and Leo didn't make a move, there was nothing he could do unless he caught them in the act. Right now, Leo was sitting in his office, signing a stack of paperwork. The building was still under renovation and likely wouldn't be operational until after the holidays. Next, he needed to recruit a large number of actors and staff for other departments, then produce a few popular short videos or a completely original film. With that, he could establish a solid foundation for his agency in the industry. Fortunately, the web fiction adaptations he had previously directed had earned him a fair bit of fame, giving him some clout. Over the past couple of days, several popular streamers and B-list celebrities had already reached out to his company. After signing the contracts, Leo personally toured the floors, checking on the renovation progress. Although the workers were from one of his father-in-law's construction companies and wouldn't dare slack off even without supervision, Leo still liked to walk around and chat with them occasionally. When he reached the first floor, the employees from the sign design company arrived, carrying the large plaque for Ingenuity Media. This was the name of his agency, and the gilded letters were destined for the company logo on the top floor. Leo nodded a greeting to them, and the workers responded warmly. They all knew this young man was the boss. "HM, is it snowing?" Leo suddenly noticed small snowflakes clinging to the workers' clothes. He walked quickly to the main entrance and looked up. White willow catkin-like snowflakes were drifting down, melting into small dark puddles as soon as they hit the ground. Within 10 minutes, the snow grew heavier, gradually transforming the bustling, modern city of Portland into a world of silver. Seeing the snow begin to accumulate on the sidewalk, Leo was a little surprised. As a Pacific Northwest city, Portland rarely saw significant snow. Even when it did, it was usually just a few imperceptible flakes, like a free trial, gone as quickly as it came. Just then, his phone buzzed with notifications, not just once, but several times. Isabel Vance. "Leo, are you done with work? It's snowing outside, isn't it? I made chicken soup. Come over for dinner tonight to warm up. I invited Lily too." Rose emoji. "Maya Pierce, Leo the loser. It's snowing. I heard it's going to be a big one this year. We should drive up to Aspen and see the ice sculptures. 3-minute, 20-second video. Lily Reed, it's snowing outside. Are you wearing enough warm clothes? Isabel invited me over for dinner. When are you coming back? I feel awkward going by myself." Shy emoji. Eleanor Hayes. "Leo, it's snowing. Did you see? It's Portland snow, smile emoji." Besides his 4 girlfriends, many were contacts, his 2 boisterous sisters, and his parents had also sent him messages about the snow. Some were concerned about his well-being. Some wanted to share the rare, beautiful snow's cape with him immediately, and many were simply expressing their amazement at the snow to the person they cared about most. The huge changes in Leo's career and love life this year had not gone unnoticed by his friends and family, especially when his mother, Sharon, announced in the family group chat that he now owned an entire office building. Many relatives who had never cared about him before had suddenly become very attentive. Several aunts were even clamoring to set him up on dates when he came home. Perhaps from his time in the heiress's high society circle and having met too many materialistic women like his blind date, Leo felt little emotion toward his suddenly reasonable relatives. After replying to his girlfriends one by one, Leo walked through the thin layer of wet snow to the underground garage, planning to head to Isabel's for a warm bowl of chicken soup. Driving back to Evergreen Terrace, he arrived at the familiar door of 1702 and rang the bell. "Leo Gidge is back." Maddie's joyful voice came from inside. The door opened, and the little girl pounced on him like a chubby penguin. In the warm living room, Isabel and Lily were gracefully setting the table. When Leo entered, carrying the little girl, both women looked up at him with smiles they couldn't hide. In that instant, Leo's old social anxiety-fueled imagination kicked in. He pictured Maya combing the little girl's hair, while Eleanor chatted and laughed with Maya Pierce. Even his sisters, Riley and Sophie, were there, chattering away. "Yeah, if I work hard enough, I can have it all," Leo thought, silently encouraging himself. "Hey, Mommy, Daddy's snoring is so loud. He sounds like a little piggy." "Silly girl, you can't call your daddy a pig, though he does sound like one." The next morning, Leo was awakened by the playful chatter next to his ear. He had spent the night at Isabel's after the chicken soup, something he was already used to. Isabel had prepared everything he needed at her place: toothbrush, towels, even clean underwear. Every time he came over for dinner or to chat, it was as convenient as checking into a hotel. Of course, hotels didn't come with a beautiful woman to sleep with. Isabel's place did. He opened his eyes on the soft bed to see Maddie and Isabel, one adorable and cute, the other beautiful and gentle, right beside him. The little girl had crawled into bed at some point, snuggling between Leo and Isabel. Isabel held her daughter dotingly, both of them watching Leo with happy, blissful expressions. Isabel's face was still exquisitely beautiful, her gentle and alluring eyes watching the man beside her with amusement. The little girl blinked her big, sparkling eyes, looking at her young father with curiosity and excitement. It really did feel like a cozy family of 3. "Silly girl, when did you get here?" Leo reached out and pinched Maddie's soft cheek. The little girl giggled and dodged his fingers, wriggling out of Isabel's embrace and crawling into Leo's arms to play. "Daddy, there's so much snow outside," the little girl exclaimed, looking up at him. "Can you take me downstairs to build a snowman later?" In such bad weather, Isabel would certainly not let Maddie go out to play, worried she would catch a cold. The little girl, desperate to play in the snow, could only turn to Leo for help. Children are very perceptive. Maddie knew that at home now, Leo's authority outweighed her mother's. Many things that were previously forbidden, she found she could get with just a little bit of coaxing with her new daddy. "No problem," Leo said, affectionately rubbing his nose against hers. "We'll build a huge snowman, even bigger than you. How about that?" "Yay, yay." The little girl, still wary of her mother's veto power, quickly turned to Isabel with a bright smile. "Mommy can come too. I'll help Mommy build an even bigger snowman." "You just spoil her," Isabel said with a mix of helplessness and contentment, pinching Maddie's cheek. "Don't think you can get away with anything just because you have him on your side." Maddie shrank into Leo's arms fearfully. "Daddy, Mommy is so scary, like a tiger." "Oh, you dare call me scary? You're asking for it, little one." Isabel feigned anger, playfully pouncing on the little girl in Leo's arms. The 3 of them wrestled happily on the bed. After a few minutes of play, Leo held Isabel's curvaceous body with Maddie's sandwich between them, chattering on about this and that. A child's mind is always active, and she talked for over 10 minutes. Neither of them interrupted her. Leo would occasionally tease her about her wild imagination. Isabel dotingly stroked her daughter's head, her face radiating a serene smile. For a divorced single mother like her, these moments of family warmth were the most blissful. It was only when Maddie's stomach started to rumble that Leo cut in. "All right, Maddie, go brush your teeth. After breakfast, Daddy will take you downstairs to build a snowman." Okay. Maddie responded eagerly, scrambling out of Leo's arms. In her haste, her foot accidentally stepped on Leo, causing him to flinch and suck in a sharp breath. "HM? Daddy, what's wrong?" The little girl blinked her innocent eyes, looking at him curiously. "Nothing, nothing," Leo waved dismissively, subconsciously rubbing the spot. Isabel covered her red lips, trying to stifle a laugh, her almond eyes crinkling at the corners. After the little girl left the bedroom and closed the door, Isabel couldn't hold back her laughter any longer. "That girl probably doesn't want a little brother or sister." "Laugh all you want," Leo pouted. "If she really broke it, what would you do then? You're terrible. So improper." Isabel stopped laughing immediately, her face blushing as she slapped him lightly. Their relationship had long surpassed that of a typical married couple. They often joked and acted on risque comments like this. Leo inched closer to Isabel, rubbing her full bottom and complaining, "Honey, you have to check it for me. It really hurt." "Oh, stop it. Maddie is right outside." Isabel struggled, her heart racing, as she peeked toward the wide-open bedroom door. Maddie's footsteps could be heard clearly in the hallway. "That's easy to fix," Leo said. He threw back the covers, went to the door, and called out to the little girl in the bathroom. "Maddie, Mommy and I have something to do. After you're done, go watch cartoons." "Okay, I know." Getting his daughter's obedient reply, Leo quickly dove back into Isabel's warm embrace. "Honey, you're so warm, like a piece of warm jade." Men often show a slightly childish side in front of older women, especially one as charming and mature as Isabel. Ever since he met her, Leo had always been more playful and innocent around her, a side his other girlfriends never saw. "Honey, it really hurts. Help me rub it," Leo pleaded, burying his face in her chest. "My little ancestor, I must have owed you in a past life." Isabel rolled her eyes flirtatiously, tucking a stray strand of hair behind her ear in a tantalizing gesture. 20 minutes later, Maddie, who was watching cartoons in the living room, heard a series of violent coughs from the bedroom. She then saw her mother rush to the bathroom, and soon the sound of brushing teeth followed. Leo also came out, fully dressed, and went to the bathroom with his toiletries. "Isabel, you really love being clean," Leo said, nudging her waist with his elbow and teasing her wickedly. "You just brushed your teeth, and now you're brushing them again?" Isabel spit out a mouthful of toothpaste foam and twisted her hand hard on his side. "You have the nerve to talk? I almost threw up last night's dinner." I'm sorry, Isabel." "Ouch, ouch, ouch." Leo begged for mercy, half laughing, half crying. After building snowmen with mother and daughter in the community square, it was already 3 in the afternoon. Leo drove to his company, which was still under renovation, to check on the progress. It was a Monday with heavy snow falling. The cars on the road moved slowly, drivers cautious of skidding and rear-ending each other. Leo hadn't driven far before he was stuck in traffic with everyone else. Several cars up ahead had been in a pile-up, and the police and drivers were handling the scene. A dozen or so cars were backed up behind them, looking like a holiday traffic jam on the highway. 4 wheels aren't always more convenient than 2. In this situation, the usually overlooked e-scooter became invaluable. In the bike lane, e-scooters zipped by from time to time, their riders' faces showing a mixture of relief and schadenfreude. During this boring wait, Leo, like the other drivers, either scrolled through his phone or watched the snowfall outside. As a player, apart from chatting with his girlfriends, he had developed an aversion to his phone, a side effect of the high-intensity 1v4 online juggling act. So Leo rolled down his window and watched the e-scooters with sun and rain canopies pass by in the bike lane. He had never dared to install one of those when he used to ride his own e-scooter. They might block the sun and rain, but a strong gust of wind could easily flip both rider and vehicle. Many accidents were caused by those little contraptions. As he was watching, an e-scooter with a canopy slipped on the ice. The female rider, wearing a helmet, went down with it, scattering the contents of her bag all over the ground. The bored drivers, hearing the commotion, all rolled down their windows to look. When the rider unsteadily got to her feet, the driver's eyes were glued to her. She was a woman dressed in a light-colored OL-style business suit, a white blazer and a black skirt paired with sheer, light black stockings that tightly hugged her long, well-proportioned legs. On her feet were a pair of black pointed-toe heels. The fall had torn several holes in her stockings, a sight that brought a perverse delight to the onlookers. Leo was also silently admiring her long, shapely legs when the woman took off her helmet, revealing a mature, exasperated oval face and a cascade of black hair that fluttered in the wind. Leo froze. Wasn't that his high school homeroom teacher, Clara Shelton? To be sure, he activated his divine eye ability. Name, Clara Shelton. Gender, female. Age, 31. Appearance, 8 height, 5 foot 6 inch weight. 115 LBS hobbies. Reading, shopping, traveling. Measurements. 33-20-35 affinity for host. 1 marital status. Single. Current mood. Annoyed, going to be late for class. Current location. 100 meters ahead of Evergreen Terrace, bike lane. Solo sessions. 0. Holy crap. It really is her, Leo thought with a jolt. To think he'd run into his high school teacher here. The reason he recognized her so quickly was that he had spent a lot of time being lectured by her in high school. Back then, his grades were decent. With a little effort, he could have easily gotten into a good university. But then he became addicted to web novels, and his grades plummeted, putting him on par with the slackers in the back rows. Ms. Shelton refused to let him slide, constantly getting on his case. She would either call his parents to the school or confiscate his phone, or she would drag him out into the hallway and chew him out in front of the other students. Standing at just under 5'7", she would regularly scold the 6-foot-plus Leo until he was red in the face, not even daring to lift his head. He had been so terrified of her back then that he would go out of his way to avoid her both in and out of school. To get her off his back, he finally buckled down and studied, which was how he managed to get into PSU. Back then, he had feared and resented this ferocious teacher, even suspecting she had some kind of sadistic streak. Why else would she pick on him all the time? But looking back now, he realized a teacher like that was probably one who genuinely cared about her students. Otherwise, she could have just ignored him and collected her salary. She didn't need the extra trouble. The bike lane was busy, and no one stopped to help Ms. Shelton pick up her things. It looked like she had hurt her foot in the fall. She was hopping on one leg, her teeth gritted, trying to gather her scattered belongings. It was a pathetic yet strangely amusing sight. Leo looked ahead. The accident scene seemed to be clearing up. The drivers who had gotten out to smoke and chat were already back in their cars. Thinking of how this strict teacher had, in her own way, cared for him, Leo smiled wryly. He got out of his car, walked over to her, and bent down to pick up a stainless steel thermos, handing it to her. Ding! Clara Shelton's affinity for the host has increased by 1 point. Current affinity, 2. Please continue your efforts. Thank you, Ms. Shelton said, brushing back her messy hair. She took the thermos with a grateful smile, then looked at Leo thoughtfully. Have we met somewhere before? Ms. Shelton, it's me, Leo Shepard, Leo said, making a telescope gesture with his hands. Leo Shepard. Oh, it's you, kid. She laughed in recognition, looking him up and down in surprise before teasing. Well, look at you. You got so handsome. I didn't even recognize you without your glasses. Ah, you're too kind, Ms. Shelton, Leo beamed. Don't you dare post about this in our old high school group chat, she warned, subconsciously trying to hide her torn stockings, her mock anger tinged with a surprising hint of cute coquettishness. 1. Flatter her, of course not. Wow, Ms. Shelton, you're still as beautiful as ever. Are you still teaching high school? 2. Tease her. Haha, of course not. Let's get this stuff picked up, Ms. Shelton. It's dangerous to stand here with all this traffic. 3. Threaten her. Hehe, Ms. Shelton, you're still looking quite fine. You wouldn't want the other students to find out about your torn stockings, would you? Haha, of course not. Leo smiled, then gestured to the passing e-scooters. Ms. Shelton, let's get your things picked up. It's dangerous to stand here with all this traffic. Okay, right? She replied, hopping on one foot to bend down and gather her scattered belongings, looking both comical and strangely sexy. That's enough, Ms. Shelton. You go sit over there, Leo said, quickly taking her by the shoulders and guiding her toward the sidewalk, unable to resist a playful jab. Or else people passing by will think you're putting on some kind of performance art. You little punk, when did you get such a silver tongue? Ms. Shelton laughed, giving him a light slap but not refusing his help. She let him guide her to the side of the road to sit down. Leo swiftly collected all her dropped items, placing them beside her. He then righted her fallen e-scooter and pushed it to the entrance of a nearby convenience store. Ms. Shelton, the scooter's not broken, but you can't ride it like this anyway. Once you're feeling better, you can come back and get it. After arranging things with the store owner, Leo returned and told her, Don't worry, I know the owner here pretty well. The scooter will be safe. Let me give you a ride to the university. Okay, no problem. Thank you, Leo, Ms. Shelton replied, her grateful tone laced with a polite formality. Ding! Clara Shelton's affinity for the host has increased by 2 points. Current affinity, 4. Please continue your efforts. If it had been a younger girl, in such a public and embarrassing situation, Leo's heroic rescue and thoughtful handling of the mess would have earned him at least 5 affinity points. But with Ms. Shelton, he only got a measly 2. Teachers were really on another level, he thought. She wasn't some young girl dreaming of a Prince Charming. Her mindset was far more mature and stable than that of an ordinary woman. Leo put an arm around Ms. Shelton's slim waist, supporting her as she limped toward his BMW, and couldn't help but lecture her a bit. Ms. Shelton, that canopy on your scooter is really dangerous. You should take it off once you're healed. It's a huge safety hazard. I know, she replied nonchalantly, a strange smile on her elegant face. Well, how the tables have turned. I never thought I'd be lectured by you. Hey, this is a big deal, Leo said solemnly. I'll have to mark today's date on my calendar. You punk. How did you get so smooth? Ms. Shelton chuckled, then asked curiously. I remember you used to be such a quiet student. What happened to you? I've always been like this, Leo reminisced. It's just that around you, I never dare to breathe. That's enough. I'm not some dragon lady. Was I really that scary? Well, pretty much. My mistake, Ms. Shelton. You brat, she said, glancing at Leo, who was bent over slightly to support her, a satisfied smile on her face. In high school, she had dealt with many slacking students like Leo, but not all of them understood the true meaning behind her strict approach. When she ran into other former students, they would at most offer a lukewarm hello, Ms. Shelton. Some of the more rebellious ones would even deliberately provoke her to get back at her for her harshness during their school days. To have a student, after all this time, step up and take care of her when she was in trouble. She felt that Leo was probably the only one. Ding. Clara Shelton's affinity for the host has increased by 1 point. Current affinity. 5. Please continue your efforts. So, Leo, what have you been up to since graduation? In the warm BMW, Ms. Shelton looked around at the luxurious interior and asked curiously. Leo had never bragged or been active in their high school group chats, nor had he told other classmates about his life. He mostly just lurked, observing their lives from a distance. If he hadn't helped her today, she probably wouldn't have even remembered this quiet student. She didn't know much about cars, but anyone could tell that the interior and finish of this one were expensive, easily costing $40,000 or $50,000. Leo rubbed his nose, a hint of pride in his voice. I'm in the industry you used to yell at me about all the time for being a waste of time. Ms. Shelton thought for a moment, then her eyes lit up. You're writing web fiction now? Yeah, just earning enough for instant ramen, Leo said with a sincere nod. Well, I'll be. Looks like I misjudged you. You really were cut out for it, she said, her eyes showing a trace of admiration. She knew he was being modest. Driving a car like this, he was obviously earning more than just ramen money. Of course, she wouldn't ask how much he was making. Their relationship wasn't that close. With all this snow, you should drive a little slower, she said, glancing at her phone with a resigned smile. I've already had another teacher cover my class, so there's no need to rush. No problem. Do you want me to take you to a clinic to get something for those scrapes? Leo glanced at her legs. The torn parts of her stockings revealed scrapes of varying severity. If not treated, they could scar. Ms. Shelton paused, then shook her head dismissively. No, it's fine. These are just minor cuts. You could just drop me off at the entrance to PSU. Ding. Clara Shelton's affinity for the host has increased by 2 points. Current affinity. 7. Please continue your efforts. Hearing the system prompt, Leo took a deep look at the gratified smile on her face. So what if she's a teacher? He thought. Her heart isn't made of stone. No matter how tough her exterior, she's still a woman. In a situation like this, how could she not want a man to care for her? Wait a minute. PSU. Leo asked in disbelief. Ms. Shelton, weren't you at Lincoln High? When did you become a university professor? And at PSU of all places? What? I started at PSU at the beginning of this year, she replied matter-of-factly. Didn't you see it in our student-teacher group chat? I posted about it a long time ago. Haha, so that's it. Leo chuckled awkwardly. He briefly considered calling an Uber to take her the rest of the way. He really didn't want to make a grand entrance onto the PSU campus. After a moment's thought, Leo abandoned the callous idea. He couldn't bring himself to just dump the disheveled Ms. Shelton on the side of the road to wait for an Uber. Aren't you a PSU student? Ms. Shelton asked, looking at him curiously. I remember you bragging to me in the group chat after you got in. Why such a big reaction? I just haven't been back to my alma mater since graduation. And to come back for the first time with such a beautiful teacher, Leo said, shamelessly laying on the flattery to change the subject. I'm afraid your students will see us and get the wrong idea. I don't want to become public enemy number 1. Ding. Clara Shelton's affinity for the host has increased by 1 point. Current affinity. 8. Please continue your efforts. I'm afraid you'll be disappointed. My students won't be jealous of you for bringing a 30-year-old hag back to campus. Ms. Shelton not only didn't seem shy or put off by the slightly flirtatious comment, but responded with a tone of resignation. You're probably the only one who would still compliment an old maid like me, who's 30 and never had a boyfriend, and has to rely on blind dates. That one sentence sent Leo's mind racing. He immediately pieced together the reasons why she was 30, single, and inexperienced. She was too blunt. She had spent her prime dating years devoted to teaching, with little exposure to men her own age. She had no dating experience and didn't know how to interact with them. Those were the main reasons she was still single at 30. She was beautiful, her looks and figure only slightly inferior to Isabel's, a textbook example of a mature, sophisticated woman, with the added bonus of a teacher buff. But a beautiful face is just a facade. A woman her age was looking for a husband, not a whirlwind romance. It was unrealistic to start from scratch at 30. If her personality didn't mesh, any relationship would fizzle out quickly. Leo guessed she had probably tried dating a few men, but her bluntness and lack of experience likely doomed those relationships before they could even begin. Of course, Leo couldn't give her dating advice. Their relationship wasn't at that level. Besides, they were teacher and student. It would be completely out of line for him to teach his teacher how to date. So, in this situation, what could he say to increase her affinity for him? Simping? Absolutely not. Simps never win. Flirty banter? Even worse. She was blunt, not stupid. With her life experience and profession, using the same lines he used on younger girls would backfire. She wouldn't find it charming. She'd think he was a sleazy player, and the positive impression he'd just made would shatter. There was only one way to deal with a straightforward woman like her. Play it even straighter. Compliment her directly, but find the right angle. And that angle was the fact that he was once her student. Complimenting her from a student's perspective was something she couldn't refute. The key was to use simple, unexaggerated words. This would keep the atmosphere pleasantly warm without being overly flirtatious, and it would come across as casual and sincere. It was a trick the system had once taught him. A casual compliment is the most sincere compliment. No woman could argue with that. She would have no choice but to accept it. Why would you say that? After a brief pause, Leo said casually, his hands on the steering wheel. Back in high school, I always thought you were really pretty. Ding. Clara Shelton's affinity for the host has increased by 5 points. Current affinity, 13. Please continue your efforts. Seriously, Ms. Shelton, Leo said, turning to look directly into her stunned eyes as they waited at a red light. From high school until now, I've always thought you were beautiful. He was laying his cards on the table, making it clear he was flirting with her. What was she going to do about it? She wasn't an idiot. She knew what he was doing. But his approach was flawless. His choice of words, the level of flirtation, it was all perfectly calibrated. She couldn't feel like he was being too forward, nor could she reject the compliment. To reject, it would be to indirectly admit that she had, in fact, become an old woman. No woman on earth would ever admit that. Most importantly, she couldn't ask, really? Do you really think so? To ask, that would be to take the initiative, making the situation even more ambiguous. Remember what she said earlier? You're probably the only one who would compliment me like that. That wasn't as simple as it sounded. She was a beautiful woman. He was definitely not the only one who had ever complimented her. The men she had tried to date must have praised her looks. They weren't blind. But who were they? They were potential partners. In the context of dating, their compliments would always carry a hint of polite obligation. And who was Leo? Her former high school student, someone who had spent 3 years with her. It was normal for a student to think their teacher was pretty. His angle was perfect, complimenting her from the perspective of the past. Women are incredibly sensitive about their age. His words instantly transported her back to her youth before she hit 30. Was she not beautiful then? Her alluring stockings and heels had surely caught the eye of many a male student who accidentally dropped their erasers in class. But the real masterstroke was the word always. It meant that whether in high school or right now in his BMW, he had always found her beautiful. It was the straightest compliment imaginable, and for a woman like her, it was devastatingly effective. Just drive, she said, flustered, looking away from his intense gaze. A faint, almost imperceptible blush crept up her pale cheeks as she stared out the windshield. She was definitely flustered. The 5 affinity points were proof. Seeing the teacher who used to chew him out daily looking so shy made Leo feel incredibly satisfied. He even started humming a cheerful, off-key tune, as if to say, yeah, I'm flirting with you. What are you going to do about it? Call my parents? But a moment later, she calmly tested the waters. You punk, you've got quite a mouth on you. I bet you've charmed your fair share of young girls, haven't you? 1. Haha, you're going to laugh, Ms. Shelton, but I've been single ever since graduation. 2 Ms. Shelton, I've had a crush on you since high school. To get closer to you, I read novels all day just so you would scold me. Please go out with me. 3. Quite a few, actually. And in a few days, you'll probably be my 5th girlfriend. Aren't you excited? If Leo had said that the moment Clara Shelton got in the car, he wouldn't have thought anything of it. He would have just admitted he had a girlfriend. But now, Clara's affinity for him was a solid 13 points. With that score, if Leo confessed to a normal college girl, she might even say yes. Add to that Clara's tentative, almost insecure tone, and there was no doubt what was happening. She was fishing, trying to find out if he was single. Or maybe she was hinting that she was interested in seeing where things could go with an older woman like her. Of course, Clara herself would never admit to that second part. Thinking about it too hard would just be cringy. Don't laugh, Ms. Shelton, but I've been single ever since I graduated, Leo said with a disarmingly genuine smile. He even added the finishing blow. And I really do think you're beautiful. How is telling the truth considered being a smooth talker? System alert. Clara Shelton's affinity has increased by 3 points. Current affinity, 16. Please continue your efforts. Somehow, Clara found herself being charmed by him all over again. Leo's acting was superb. She had no idea that every one of his direct compliments was a calculated move to fluster her. All she could do was shoot him a look that was more pout than glare. Why is that kind of cute? A sudden wave of frustration washed over her, and she couldn't pinpoint why. Leo was complimenting her, and she was genuinely happy about it. So why was she also getting angry at a former student for calling her beautiful? Clara had plenty of life experience, but zero experience when it came to romance. The emotion was actually quite simple to understand. Leo had successfully boosted her affinity, but he hadn't followed through with any of the expected responsibilities. It was this attitude, proactive yet non-committal, flirtatious yet deniable, that was making her inexplicably furious. The worst part was, she couldn't show it. After all, he was just complimenting her. If she got feelings for him that easily, what did that have to do with him? Saying anything would be utterly mortifying. It would give him the impression that all it took was a few nice words to make you fall for me. You're that easy. Trapped in a frustration she couldn't express, Clara acted on impulse. She reached down and started taking off her black stockings. Ms. Shelton, what are you doing? As the black fabric slid down, revealing a sliver of pale thigh, Leo's heart hammered against his ribs, and he swallowed hard. Could it be? Was an affinity score approaching 20 enough to hit a home run with his former homeroom teacher? Should he just lie back and accept his fate, or should he suggest moving to the more spacious back seat? What do you think? Clara shot him an indignant glare. We're almost at the university. How am I supposed to teach a class looking like this? My students would think I'm a freak. All right. Leo let out a breath he didn't realize he'd been holding. Her stockings were completely shredded, exposing large patches of her pale legs. If she wore that to class. He wasn't sure about the female students, but the male students would definitely be too hard at work to learn anything. Still, why did he feel a pang of disappointment? And Leo glanced at the sensual scene beside him again. You guys, who can even understand this? My former high school teacher is taking her stockings off in my passenger seat. This is going to be the death of me. The cruelest part was that Leo had a thing for legs. This was a fatal attraction. Whenever the road was clear and there were no cars around, the corner of his eye drifted to his teacher's pale thighs. How could Clara, a woman who'd spent years catching students cheating, not notice such an obvious tell? What she couldn't understand was the surge of pride she felt. Not only was her former student getting a free show, but she wasn't even angry about it. In fact, she felt proud. Was it because, at 30, she still had something worth showing off? Was that why she felt this way? Caught in a whirlwind of conflicting pride and annoyance, she caught Leo sneaking another peek. Already irritated by his non-committal attitude, Clara suddenly snapped. Too scared to own up to it? If you're going to look, then look properly. What are you doing being so sneaky? She stopped mid-sentence, her voice dying in her throat. Her delicate features flushed a deep crimson, so red it looked like it could bleed. Realizing the utterly insane thing she had just said, she whipped her head around to stare out the window, trying to escape the mortifying reality. Oh God, kill me now. What kind of hormonal fever dream am I having? Why would I say something so shameless to my own student? Clara, are you that desperate for a man? Getting feelings for your student. And the worst part is, it hasn't even been half an hour since we reconnected. Am I really this kind of woman? Swish, swish, swish. The atmosphere in the BMW was deathly silent, the sound of the wipers clearing away the snow unnaturally loud. Ahem. Well, Ms. Shelton, a glance is a sign of respect, Leo said with a sheepish grin, trying to diffuse the awkwardness. So staring is just continuous respect. Doesn't that make sense? Oh, really? Go on, enlighten me. What kind of sense does that make? Clara turned back, her eyes blazing with embarrassed anger. The sharp look was identical to the one she used to give him when she caught him misbehaving in the high school hallway. 1. Because your legs are beautiful, Ms. Shelton. They're perfectly toned. That's why I keep looking. If they were flabby, you could shove them in my face and I wouldn't look twice. 2. I'm sorry, Ms. Shelton. Please don't tell my dad. I promise I'll never sneak glances at your legs again. 3. Are you kidding me? There's a beautiful woman taking off her stockings right next to me. If I didn't take a good look at a scene this hot, what? Are you trying to shorten my lifespan? In the past, that glare might have actually intimidated him. But now, Leo's skin was thicker than a brick wall. He wasn't about to be scared off. Because your legs are beautiful, Ms. Shelton. They're perfectly toned. That's why I keep looking, he explained with a completely straight face. If they were flabby, you could shove them in my face and I wouldn't look twice. System alert. Clara Shelton's affinity has increased by 4 points. Current affinity, 20. Please continue your efforts. You. Clara was so flustered she was speechless, unable to think of a single comeback for this new, shameless version of Leo. And the most damnable part? At a moment like this, she was completely receptive to his blatant, flirtatious praise. Damn it, I never should have gotten in this kid's car, she thought, grabbing her head in frustration. Right now, she wanted nothing more than to take the stockings she'd just removed and stuff them straight into his mouth. Fortunately, the rest of the drive was smooth sailing, with no traffic to speak of. Leo drove Clara straight to the entrance of Portland State University. As one of Portland's major universities, the PSU campus spanned over 100 acres, with more than 1 million square feet of building space. It had administrative buildings, science halls, lecture halls, a library, student and faculty dining halls, dorms, and athletic fields. With over 8,000 students, it was the most populous university in the city. The walk from the main gate to the academic buildings was several hundred yards down a long campus road. Clara was still limping, and Leo couldn't just drop her at the entrance and let her hobble all the way in by herself. That would be heartless. When Leo pulled up to the security booth, the guard saw an unfamiliar car, and a distinctive BMW at that. Thinking it might be some high-ranking official on an unannounced visit, he rushed over with a tense, welcoming smile and a crisp salute. Hello, sir. This vehicle isn't registered with us. May I ask the purpose of your visit? Hey there. I'm actually a PSU graduate, Leo explained with a friendly smile. Ms. Shelton here injured her leg, so I'm just dropping her off. The guard visibly relaxed. He cross-referenced Clara's faculty ID number, and without any further questions, he raised the gate. The wide, dark tires crunched over the thick layer of fresh snow as the car entered the campus. It just so happened to be the time between classes. The snow-covered campus road and the wide athletic fields were filled with the laughter and chatter of bright, energetic college students. The design of Leo's BMW was exactly the kind of car that appealed to every young man and woman of this age. The moment it turned onto the campus road, it became the center of attention. Even the guys playing sports on the field stopped to admire the sleek lines of the sports car. A few students who knew about cars started explaining its price and performance to their friends, eliciting gasps of amazement. Next craned to get a look at the driver, everyone curious about which professor was brazenly driving a car worth over $200,000 on a campus. For these students, on the verge of entering the real world, this symbol of luxury ignited a restless mixture of envy and ambition. Many of them pulled out their phones and started taking pictures of the BMW. Shit. Feeling countless eyes on him, Leo broke out in a sweat. He was so nervous that even in the middle of winter, he was sweating. Clara noticed his tense posture and the fine sheen of perspiration on his forehead. She couldn't help but tease him. So nervous? Did you get into trouble with another professor here? Scared you'll run into her? No way. What professor could be scarier than you? Leo shot back, turning the joke on her. His eyes darted around like 360-degree radar, scanning the students, terrified that Chloe Miller or Lily Reed would pop out from behind a corner. As if on cue, a group of students in athletic wear emerged from a nearby academic building, heading for the fields for gym class. Among them, one tall girl with a face like a blossoming peach stood out from the rest. With a figure that made men silent and women weep, who else could it be but Lily Reed? Lily still had that timid, hesitant demeanor. She seemed to want to blend in with her classmates, but was held back by some unseen fear, keeping her head down as she walked carefully at the edge of the group. Leo, some of my students are heading to gym class up ahead, Clara said, pointing toward the downcast Lily. You could just drop me here. No need to drive any further in. Okay, Leo agreed without a moment's hesitation, quickly pulling the car over. Lily, Clara called out after getting out of the car, waving to the girl up ahead. Lily blinked, her curious eyes landing on her math professor. A smile bloomed on her melancholic face, and she quickened her pace toward them. It was clear that Clara treated the introverted girl very well. But the closer she got, the more curious Lily's expression became. She felt like she'd seen that BMW somewhere before. It's Leo's car. Her smile widened instantly, her small steps turning into a full-on run. The motion caused her impressive figure to bounce, a sight that left several nearby female students in absolute shock. Oh, for fuck's sake, just kill me now. What are the odds? Watching Lily's expression shift from confusion to overjoyed surprise as she broke into a run, Leo knew she'd recognized his car. His heart pounding, he slapped the steering wheel. Without pausing for a second, he spun the wheel, executing a sharp U-turn. If he dared to say a single word to Lily on campus right now, it would lead to an absolute bloodbath later. Thank you so much, Clara began, turning to thank him as Lily approached. But Leo was already gone. Without so much as a goodbye, he gunned the engine and sped toward the campus exit like he was fleeing for his life. The roar of the powerful engine echoed across the scholarly atmosphere of PSU, earning annoyed rebukes from several professors. That boy, Clara, still reeling from the 40-plus minutes of flirty ambiguity, bit her lip in frustration and muttered to herself, her thoughts in a jumble. I didn't even get his number. Lily, I tripped and hurt my leg. Ms. Shelton, was the driver of that car Leo? Lily asked, breathless, before Clara could finish. Her eyes were fixed on the spot where the BMW had disappeared. Yes. You know Leo? Clara felt a strange knot of tension in her stomach and asked, almost involuntarily, what's your relationship with him? We're friends, and we're neighbors in the same apartment building. There is no way a college student would confess a relationship to a professor, especially not someone as pure and introverted as Lily. Haha, so that's how it is. Relieved not to hear the answer she'd been dreading, Clara smiled warmly. That kid was one of my students in high school. I fell off my scooter today, and he was the one who brought me here. Oh, I see. Lily didn't overthink it. Before Leo's player tendencies were exposed, the simple girl trusted him unconditionally. She was just a little disappointed that she hadn't gotten to say a few words to him. Holy hell, that was intense, Leo muttered, his heart still racing as he left the minefield that was PSU, having narrowly avoided a catastrophic confrontation. If he had hesitated for even a few more seconds, he would have had to talk to Lily. And the longer he stayed on campus, the higher the chance that Chloe or one of her roommates would spot them together. If it came to that kind of bloodbath, he wouldn't have been able to talk his way out of it. HM? What's this? A glint of something dark under the passenger seat caught his eye. Leo leaned over and picked it up. It was the pair of black stockings Clara had taken off. She'd left them behind. Is this some kind of signal? He whispered, his heart starting to race again. After a moment's thought, he dismissed the ridiculous idea. Clara was a dedicated teacher. Even if she had some feelings for him, she would never do something so blatantly suggestive. It didn't fit her upright, straightforward personality. Why would she wear such thin stockings in the middle of winter? Leo mused, gently squeezing the sheer, torn fabric. The thought that these were the stockings his high school teacher had personally removed made a wave of heat wash over him. He quickly stuffed the torn black stockings into his pocket. It was a perfectly normal reaction. Most guys, in the throes of their hormonal teenage years, had fantasies about their teachers, provided, of course, that the teacher was attractive. Leo was no exception. In high school, whenever he had Clara's class, the usually quiet and well-behaved Leo would accidentally drop his eraser several times per period. After picking it up, he'd childishly tell himself it wasn't his fault. That dragon lady is always yelling at me. This is just karma. Just then his phone pinged. It was a friend request. Autumn Bloom would like to add you as a contact. Note, Ms. Shelton, smiling emoji. Leo hesitated for a moment before accepting. Her e-scooter was still impounded, and he had to help her get it back. Besides, she had helped him a lot in high school, both logically and emotionally. He had no reason to refuse. Of course, being a proper player, the first thing he did after accepting her request was to hide his social media profile from her. His profile still had the post making his relationship with Chloe official, a post that was hidden from all his other female contacts. The moment he accepted, a message from Clara came through. Autumn Bloom, I'll come get my scooter in a few days. Smiling emoji. Leo was still in the high school alumni group chat. Clara could have easily contacted him there. The fact that she chose to add him as a friend personally, using the scooter as an excuse, was practically a confession. Of course, that wasn't set in stone. After a moment, Leo simply replied with a non-committal okay. He was testing the waters. Given their student-teacher history, his reply was perfectly normal. But if Clara was hoping for a real conversation, that single word would feel cold and dismissive. In that case, she would feel a sense of unease and instinctively find another topic to keep the chat going. This was how players gradually stoked a woman's curiosity and desire to communicate. The prerequisite, of course, was that she had to have a baseline of affinity for you. Otherwise, she wouldn't care what you replied. Autumn Bloom, why did you leave in such a hurry? Confused emoji, it's been so long since you've been back. You didn't want to look around your old university? Smirking emoji, seeing her send such an open-ended, conversation-starting message. A confident smirk touched Leo's lips. This was beyond mere unease. It was no exaggeration to say that Clara was actively trying to build a relationship with him that went beyond just student and teacher. This wasn't just wishful thinking. Anyone with a bit of dating experience could see it. After all the flirting Leo had done in the car, if Clara had no interest, she wouldn't have bothered adding him on social media, let alone starting a conversation with such a leading question. Clara might not have dating experience, but that didn't mean she had low emotional intelligence. She was a woman in her early 30s who had dealt with countless parents. She knew how to talk to people. Her conversational skills were solid. Leo intentionally didn't reply. He pulled up his navigation and set a course for the nearest gas station. Less than 2 minutes later, another message came through. Autumn Bloom, are you driving? Confused emoji, combined with her previous messages. Even a guy who had never dated could see how desperately she wanted to talk to him. If you didn't get it, the message could be translated as, why aren't you answering me? Are you driving? Offline mode. Yeah, just got to the gas station, sunglasses emoji. What about you, teacher? Don't you have class? It was a pointless question. Knowing Clara's dedication to her students and her career, if she had class or was busy, she wouldn't be messaging him repeatedly. But when you're trying to talk to a girl who's just started to like you, you have to learn to create topics. Even if it's pointless chatter, you have to say it. It passes the conversational initiative to her, letting her take the lead in talking about herself. And just like that, using her class schedule as a starting point, Leo began a lively chat with his once fierce homeroom teacher. Throughout the conversation, he maintained the tone and perspective of a student, perfectly portraying himself as polite and friendly. Clara already had a soft spot for well-behaved students, let alone one who had just helped her out. Not only that, but Leo frequently steered the conversation back to their 3 years in high school. His masterfully honed conversational skills, combined with his exceptional writing ability, allowed him to paint vivid pictures that drew her in completely. Whenever they talked about their high school days, Clara's desire to talk grew exponentially, although it brought a faint sense of wistful regret for the passage of time. What woman doesn't love to remember herself when she was young and beautiful? Every time Leo's words brought back memories of her youth, a nostalgic smile would unconsciously form on her lips. System alert. Clara Shelton's affinity has increased by 5 points. Current affinity, 25. Please continue your efforts. After chatting for over an hour, Clara's affinity had only increased by 5 points. Leo wasn't surprised. They were just talking without him using any specific flirting techniques. Gaining 5 points was actually quite high. With a strict teacher like Clara, or any older, more mature woman, you couldn't use the same ambiguous, flirty lines you'd use on younger girls. They were adults. Their life experience was far richer than that of a woman in her early 20s. They had navigated the complexities of the real world and met all sorts of people. They naturally had their guard up around the opposite sex. To pursue a woman like this, you had to be patient. You had to dismantle her defenses step by step, showing her your goodwill, with only occasional, well-timed flirtation. Before long, you could reach a point where things just naturally fell into place without even needing to define a relationship. If you were too aggressive, it would definitely backfire. Offline mode, well, Ms. Shelton, talk to you later. You're probably about to get off work, right? High school teacher. Yes, soon. I technically took the day off, just came in to check on my students. Offline mode. All right then, I'm gonna go take a shower. Talk later. Let me know if you need anything. Rose emoji. You little brat, Clara murmured, a faint blush creeping up her cheeks as she saw the bright red cartoon rose emoji. But a pleasant warmth still spread through her chest. It was a feeling of joy she had never experienced while talking to any of the men she'd dated before. The emotional value Leo provided during their conversation was incredibly rich, leaving the 30-something woman wanting more. Of course, She couldn't express this joy directly. She was his high school teacher. Willingly lowering her status in front of him would make her seem like she had no authority at all. Clara's fingers tapped on the screen. "I'm your teacher. Be more professional." She looked at the words and felt a pang of embarrassment. It felt too awkward to talk to her former student like this, especially the way her fingers had almost added a playful tone at the end, like a young girl pouting. It was both clingy and cringy, and that right there was proof that her guard around Leo was starting to come down. Her heart pounding, she deleted the playful lilt. "I'm your teacher. Be more professional." Without that one little word, the entire tone changed. It sounded like she was pulling rank, sternly warning Leo not to have any inappropriate ideas about her. No, that's not right. Clara felt that this reply was too harsh. She worried Leo would get the wrong idea and stop talking to her. She didn't want to ruin the delicate, ambiguous atmosphere they had built. What should I say? At this moment, no one would have believed that the normally formidable homeroom teacher was acting like a teenager in love, tapping her slender fingers on her desk in a mix of embarrassment and anxiety, trying to figure out how to respond to a message that was a perfectly crafted trap. More importantly, the person on the other end was one of her former students. After thinking it over and over, an idea struck her. She added a laughing, crying emoji to the end of the sentence and sent it with a surge of trepidation, then tossed her phone aside as if she'd just confessed her feelings, her face burning. "High school teacher. I'm your teacher. Be more professional." Faced with tears of joy, Clara had been a teacher for years. Even without dating experience, she had dealt with all kinds of parents. Her own communication skills were nothing to scoff at. This message managed to maintain her authority as a teacher, while the emoji subtly told Leo that she wasn't actually pulling rank. To translate it more bluntly, "I really like this vibe we have going." This was the way of adult romance, complex and full of mind games. Every interaction was a test, a way of probing the other person's intentions. Whoever showed their hand first was destined to lose spectacularly. Unfortunately for Clara, she didn't realize that the moment she got into Leo's car, she had already lost. Around 7 that evening, after most of the students had left, Clara walked awkwardly to the university entrance. Her leg was already feeling much better. It was just a few scrapes, so walking wasn't a problem, as long as she didn't try to run. She usually rode her e-scooter to and from work, but since that was out of commission, she planned to call an Uber. The thought of having to limp to a pharmacy by herself to buy bandages and antiseptic filled her with a sudden, sharp loneliness. It was an emptiness unique to single women in their 30s. A physically and mentally healthy woman doesn't want to live her life alone. Clara wanted a partner, too. Otherwise, she wouldn't get so dressed up for every blind date. But she had dedicated her prime dating years to her career, and she knew nothing about love. Then her father had suffered a massive stroke. The family had scraped together every penny for his medical bills, but he hadn't made it. Clara had fallen into a depression that lasted for years. Looking back on her 30-odd years, the only thing she felt she had to show for it was the many high-achieving students she had taught. Standing at the school gate, she was about to open the Uber app when a woman in white gloves, carrying a pharmacy bag, walked briskly up to her. "Excuse me, are you Ms. Shelton?" "I am. Do I know you?" Clara asked, looking at the woman curiously. She didn't recognize her. "I'm your driver. I've been waiting for you. A client who said he was one of your students booked a car service for you." The woman pointed to a black sedan parked nearby, then handed Clara the bag. "Oh, and he asked me to buy these for your scrapes. He said to make sure you use them, and to let him know if you need anything else." "Oh, is that so?" Clara accepted the bag, pleasantly surprised. Someone knew she was injured and would need a ride home. She didn't even have to think about it. It had to be that cheeky former student of hers, Leo, that little brat. With this much thoughtfulness, how could he not get a girlfriend? Clara grumbled, but a proud, pleased smile played on her lips. The loneliness that had clouded her heart moments before was washed away by a current of warmth. System alert. Clara Shelton's affinity has increased by 5 points. Current affinity, 30. Please continue your efforts. Leo, who was in the middle of a shower at home, heard the system notification and hummed a little tune, his mood even more cheerful than before. The truth was, to win over a woman, expert conversation skills and high emotional intelligence were important. But sometimes a simple, practical gesture of kindness could yield unexpected and wonderful results. Autumn Bloom. Leo, thank you for your kindness, but please take this money. Smiling emoji. Leo had just gotten out of the shower when Clara sent him a Venmo request for $200. He thought for a moment, then typed back, "It's fine, Ms. Shelton. Besides, you live in Portland. You can just treat me to dinner sometime." He had used the same line on Chloe before. The goal was to create an opportunity for a future meal. But you couldn't say it that way to an older woman like Clara. She'd see right through your intentions. So Leo added a crucial phrase. Besides, you live in Portland. This addition both obscured his true intentions and gave Clara an easy out. It created the feeling of, well, we live so close, and it's no big deal for a teacher to treat a former student to a meal. It's just repaying a favor. This was the secret to a player's success, constantly creating opportunities, forcing the woman to lower her boundaries and accommodate his requests, bit by bit. Of course, all these tactics relied on a foundation of pre-existing affinity. Without that, no amount of clever maneuvering would work. The typing indicator appeared and disappeared several times in the chat window. Clearly, Clara was struggling with how to respond to his blatant, baited hook. Several minutes later, her reply finally came. Just a single word. Okay. Offline mode. Okay, dinner sometime then, Ms. Shelton. Smiling emoji, rose emoji. Another few minutes passed before she replied with another okay. This seemingly cold response actually revealed just how flustered Clara was by her student's ambiguous flirting. Leo didn't push the conversation any further. He closed the app and started scrolling through TikTok. The logic was simple. If you withdraw emotionally at the right moment, the other person will keep replaying the interaction. By ending the conversation when the atmosphere and emotions were at their peak, Leo left her feeling like she wanted more. It was the classic push and pull tactic. For the next few days, Leo probably wouldn't even have to contact her. His once fierce teacher would be unable to resist reaching out to him herself. Just then, he heard the soft sound of footsteps in the hallway. It was the sweet dummy from across the hall back from school. Leo turned off his phone, a wide grin on his face, and opened his door just as Lily Reed was fumbling with her own key. Hey, you're home today? I'll come make dinner in a bit. But her expression wasn't the usual shy, happy one. Today, Lily looked nervous and avoidant. Even the way she inserted the key seemed rushed. Leo sensed something was wrong. As he got closer, he was hit by the strong, sticky smell of cola. Not only that, but he was shocked to see that several parts of her hair were matted together. He reached out and touched it. It was incredibly sticky. He brought his fingers to his nose and sniffed the pungent, sweet scent. His gut told him something had happened to her today. What's wrong? Why do you smell like cola? Lily hesitated for a moment, then forced a strained smile. I bought a soda on the way home, and I tripped. It spilled all over me. I see. The forced smile made Leo's heart ache. He was even more certain now that something was wrong. She was the kind of girl who would agonize over buying a single hard-boiled egg. Why would she suddenly buy a soda? And where was the bottle? Leo followed her into her apartment, watching her dejected back. After a moment of consideration, he probed again. Has anything been going on at school lately? A flicker of hurt crossed Lily's face, but she maintained her composure. Yeah, actually, I saw your car on campus today. I asked Miss Shelton and found out she was her high school homeroom teacher. Oh, really? What a coincidence, Leo said with a casual smile. Then his expression turned serious. He stepped forward and wrapped his arms around the tall girl, his voice soft. Did someone at school bully you? Don't lie to me. It was just a misunderstanding. Lily's eyes welled up with tears. The grievances she had suffered at school seemed to pour out all at once, unleashed by his question. Her body trembled with silent sobs, tears streaming down her face. After she calmed down a bit, she explained what had happened. She said her old roommates had been in the bathroom and accidentally spilled cola on her head. She kept insisting it was an accident and that Leo shouldn't worry about it. How could he possibly believe that? Who takes a bottle of cola into a bathroom stall? And who accidentally dumps an entire bottle over someone's head? After offering a few words of comfort, Leo went back to his own apartment. Just then, a message from Chloe popped up, accompanied by a short video. Elf Princess, Leo, this girl at our school, it's so awful. OMG, these people are so horrible. Seeing the message, Leo suppressed the rising tide of anger and dread, praying the video wasn't what he thought it was. But his hopes were dashed. He clicked play, and his vision went red. In the video, Lily was cornered in a bathroom by 3 other girls, each holding a can of soda. Her gentle, anxious eyes were wide with terror and fear. Her lips trembled as if she was trying to say something. The 3 girls shook their cans violently, then popped the tabs with a hiss. They squeezed the openings and aimed them at Lily, spraying her with a torrent of foam and soda. Lily squeezed her eyes shut, silently raising her arms to shield her head. The scene was infuriating to watch. Fucking bitch, think you're so special, acting all pure. Go on, tattle again. My connections are solid. You think I'm scared of some hick from the sticks? I'm warning you, you cheap slut, stay away from my boyfriend, Or next time it won't be just soda. After emptying their cans, the three girls threw them at Lily, laughing and swearing triumphantly. The video, only a dozen seconds long, ended there. The angle was awkward, and the person filming kept pulling the phone back, clearly afraid of being caught by the bullies. Elf Princess, this video is all over the campus group chats. I heard that when this girl first started school, all of the bullies' boyfriends tried to hit on her, so the three of them have been targeting her ever since. They even got her kicked out of her dorm. It's so sad, Leo. Crying emoji. Son of a bitch. Leo's face twisted into a snarl. He ground his back teeth together so hard they audibly scraped, as if he could pulverize his rage between them. Leo had been a student once himself and had always despised bullying. Every time a video of it popped up on his feed, he felt a visceral hatred for the perpetrators who were clearly raised without any decency. Now, the victim was his girlfriend. The anger was so intense he felt like he could kill someone. After a brief reply to Chloe, Leo slammed his finger on the desk and replayed the video. His eyes locked onto the three monsters, and he used his divine eye ability to gather all of their information. Once he had their details, he finally understood why Lily had begged him not to get involved. Aside from Ashley, whose parents were simple blue-collar workers, the other two bullies, Quinn and Kennedy, had connections that would make ordinary people hesitate. Quinn's family was also ordinary, but she ran with a shady off-campus crowd, constantly street racing with those degenerate friends and frequenting high-end, decadent nightclubs. As for Kennedy, both of her parents were executives at a well-known corporation, and her father had connections within the education system. With their social standing and backing, most college students wouldn't dare to cross them. The student who had secretly filmed the video and shared it, risking being caught, was already incredibly brave. But when it came to connections, Leo didn't give a damn about those two. Suppressing his rage, he thought for a long moment, then dialed the number of the little heiress. She answered almost instantly, her cheerful voice coming through the line. Leo, why are you calling? I just got back from the music studio. Do you miss me? When are you coming to see me? Since they'd last seen each other, Eleanor Hayes, tired of her parents' constant nagging, had opened a piano studio in the city center. She was living a happy 9-to-5 life as a piano teacher. Eleanor, my girlfriend, was bullied. I need your help, Leo said, getting straight to the point and sending her the video. With Eleanor, there was no need for pleasantries or beating around the bush. Eleanor, who had been happily kicking her bare feet on her bed, sat bolt upright after watching the video. Having grown up with a silver spoon in her mouth, she had never witnessed such a disgusting act of bullying. Did those girls have no empathy at all? How could they treat someone like that? No problem. Those bitches are horrible. I'll definitely help you. After hanging up, Eleanor didn't even bother to put on shoes. She ran downstairs on her bare feet and shouted at Harrison Hayes, who was reading the paper on the sofa. Old man, I need you to do something for me. After ending the call with Eleanor, Leo grabbed his car keys and phone and went over to Lily's apartment. She had just finished showering and was about to head to his place to cook, but her eyes were still red and puffy. The day's events had clearly left a deep psychological scar. Seeing her heart-wrenching expression, Leo felt a pang of guilt, a sense that he had failed to protect her. Take the next couple of days off from school. Pack up your things. When I'm done with this, I'm moving you somewhere else, Leo said, laying out the first step of his counterattack. He would use this opportunity to move Lily into his villa at Willow Creek Estates. Okay, I will, Lily nodded. She sensed that Leo was about to do something on her behalf and said worriedly, I'm really okay. Please don't do anything reckless, all right? I won't. Don't worry. I know what I'm doing, Leo replied with a faint smile, though his eyes were cold as he pulled on his jacket and stepped into the elevator. Hey, Felicia, it's me, Leo, he said into his phone. He was calling one of the wealthy women Isabel had introduced him to. During their last game of bridge, Isabel had specifically pointed her out, mentioning that Felicia had significant influence in Portland. She owned half the nightclubs downtown. Since one of the bullies was involved in that scene, Leo was going to hit her with an attack from a completely different dimension. After Leo explained the situation, Felicia sent him a phone number. Leo, honey, I've already contacted a few of the clubs in your area. Call this number. If that girl's name is on their books, they'll find her for sure. Thanks, Felicia. I'll get Isabel, and we'll play a few rounds sometime soon. After a few more pleasantries, Leo dialed the number. A man with a gravelly voice answered. Yeah, who's this? 9 o'clock at night. The city was sinking into darkness, but Portland's decadent nightlife was just getting started. The wealthiest downtown districts were ablaze of neon lights, filled with entertainment venues for the city's adults. Inside the Royale Club, blinding, multicolored lights flashed erratically, and the heavy bass of the music vibrated through the floor. Scantily clad women writhed on the dance floor, surrounded by a screaming, ecstatic crowd. For real? Felicia arranged it herself? You're not messing with me, are you? A young woman with heavy smoky eye makeup and a provocative outfit clung to her boyfriend's arm, her voice full of doubt. This was one of the 3 bullies, Quinn. Last time you said it was some CEO, and I spent the whole night with him for $500. Quinn accused him. I'm starting to think you're just pimping me out. How can you call it pimping? Portland is expensive. If we don't make some extra money, how are we going to afford a house when we get married? Her boyfriend, his hair dyed a rainbow of colors, coaxed. Don't worry. After you do this for a few years, we'll move to another city, get married, and no one will ever know. But I just have a bad feeling about this, Quinn muttered hesitantly. Oh, just get in there already. It's not like you haven't done this before. Rainbow hair threatened, his patience wearing thin. Don't make me send that video of you to all the guys in your class. Fine, I'll go. Quinn flinched, giving in to his threat. She walked towards the designated private room. Fucking slut, acting like she's so special. Rainbow hair spat contemptuously after she left, as if he would ever marry some used-up piece of trash like her. Hello, sir. Quinn opened the door to the private room. It was pitch black inside, except for a few dim, flickering lights. By their faint glow, she could see a young man in his early 20s sitting on the sofa. A flicker of excitement went through her. He was way hotter than the bald, pot-bellied guy from last time. She wouldn't even mind spending the night with him for free. Sir, Here, Leo said, his voice cold as ice. Before Quinn could finish, he pointed to the empty space on the floor in front of him. Take off your clothes. And kneel. Quinn froze, not understanding. Why did he want her to kneel on the floor the moment she walked in? Was this handsome guy into some kinky stuff? Hey, handsome. If I'm gonna kneel, shouldn't it be in front of you? It was cold, and Quinn had no desire to kneel on the freezing floor. She spoke in a seductive, cooing voice. I can't do my job from way over there. Job? What fucking job? You think a piece of trash like you is even qualified? Leo glared at the tarred-up slut and barked, his voice a menacing command. Are you going to kneel or not? Or should I have her boyfriend come in here and help you? I'll kneel. I'll kneel, Quinn said, still not grasping the severity of the situation. She put on a pitiful act. You're so mean. Handsome. I'm a girl, you know. You could be a little gentler. Let me tell you something. You're lucky you're a girl, Leo said, a humorless laugh escaping him. If you had a dick, I guarantee you'd be leaving this place on a stretcher tonight. Quinn was getting more and more confused. Was this guy here to have fun with her, or would it take his anger out on her? No kinky scenario she'd ever heard of started like this. Hey, you can't, Quinn yelped, covering her private parts with her hands when she saw Leo raise his phone to record her. Don't you know the rules? Fun is fun, but no pictures allowed in the club. Put your fucking hands down, Leo ordered. The hell? Who do you think you are? I'm done. I'm not serving you. Quinn finally lost her patience. She started pulling her clothes back on with one hand while trying to cover herself with the other. Her enraged expression was identical to the one she wore in the video while bullying Lily. You think putting your clothes on is going to save you? Leo played a few videos Rainbow Hair had sent him. They were all of Quinn and her boyfriend. It was a common story on campus. Some girls thought that having connections to some off-campus thugs made them untouchable at school, giving them a bizarre sense of superiority. Even when they were being blackmailed by scumbags, threatened with their own videos to turn tricks for him, they still foolishly believed their boyfriends would one day marry them after they'd been passed around countless times. All you could say was that pitiful people often had hateful qualities. That video? Where? Where did you get that? Quinn stared at Leo in disbelief. Only her boyfriend was supposed to have that video. How did it end up on this man's phone? Your boyfriend sent it to me, Leo said matter-of-factly. What? He didn't tell you? I got dozens more. Want to watch them all. That bastard, Quinn cursed viciously. Then, her expression instantly shifted to a fawning smile. She scrambled over to Leo and knelt between his legs, her hands fumbling with his belt. Hey, handsome, can you please delete the videos? I promise I'll do whatever you want from now on. Fuck off. Leo slapped her across the face, the sound echoing in the dark room. The force of it sent her reeling. You son of a bitch. Quinn clutched her stinging cheek, turning her head back with a ferocious glare, ready to go down fighting. But the moment she turned, Leo's phone screen switched to the video of her and the others bullying Lily. Is this trash you? Quinn, a student in the medical program at PSU. Leo pointed at the video, rattling off all her information. Your father is Greg, your mother is Brenda, and you have a younger brother in high school named Kyle. Your family lives at the Starfish Landing Apartments in Portland, Unit 302. Am I wrong? Who are you? Quinn's lips trembled as she stared at him. Having a complete stranger lay out her personal information and home address would be terrifying for anyone. And this man also had a mountain of her darkest secrets on his phone. Fuck you. Leo grabbed a handful of her hair, his voice a vicious snarl. I'm the boyfriend of the girl you and your friends bullied in the bathroom today. He shoved her head away, the force so great she stumbled and fell to the floor. Then, with a sick sense of satisfaction, he threatened, tomorrow your parents can come to your school and watch a slideshow I made with all these videos of you. No, please don't. Quinn scrambled back to her feet, ignoring the pain, and crawled back to him, her face a mask of terror. It wasn't me. It was Kennedy. She made me do it. It wasn't you. Hearing that, Leo's jaw clenched so tight it ached. He grabbed a beer bottle from the table and, mimicking her actions in the video, shook it violently. He popped the cap, and a torrent of foam sprayed all over her face. Looked to me like you were having a great time. Now, it has nothing to do with you? Huh. Cough, cough. I'm sorry. Quinn didn't dare fight back. Her face was covered in sticky beer, and she had inhaled some of it, nearly choking. Kneel properly, Leo commanded, savoring his victory. Quinn immediately fell back into her previous position, sobbing. The hell are you crying for? You know how to cry now? You all seemed pretty happy when you were bullying my girlfriend, Leo snarled, the veins on his forehead bulging. What? Now that I'm bullying you, you get to play the victim. Vav, I'm sorry. Quinn was a mess of tears and snot, bowing her head to the floor over and over. I'll never bully her again, I promise. Please, just let me go this one time. Damn you. Leo strode over to her, grabbed her wet hair, and hissed a final warning. If there's a next time, I guarantee you'll become the most famous porn star at your school before you die. He threw her head aside and stormed out of the room, leaving Quinn half naked and sobbing hysterically on the floor. Rainbow Hair, who had been waiting outside the door, saw Leo leave and rushed in to see what had happened. Holy shit, what is this Sabukaki scene? He muttered in disbelief, looking at the beer foam still covering the floor. He nudged the crying Quinn with his foot. Hey, you okay? How much did that guy give you? Give me half. Fuck you. Quinn already hated him for sharing the videos with Leo. Being kicked like an animal was the last straw. She leaped up, grabbed a bottle from the table, and chased him around the room, screaming murderously. The next afternoon, Leo drove his BMW to the university entrance with Eleanor Hayes. In the back, he had the other two pieces of trash, Ashley and Quinn. Of course, the two girls weren't in the car. They were standing on the snow-covered sidewalk nearby, looking like cheap prostitutes waiting for a John. Both girls were terrified, looking as if their worlds had ended. Ashley, who had just come from her parents' house, had a face swollen from being slapped, and her clothes were caked with mud. Ashley's family was ordinary. Her parents were hard-working people who did nothing but work to make money. They had no idea that the daughter they worked so hard to put through college was a vicious bully. It's a common story, really. Many parents think their only job is to provide financially, and that the schools will teach their children everything else. They don't realize that without guidance, not every kid can control their worst impulses. After watching the video of Lily being bullied, her parents were furious. Her mother had made Ashley kneel in the snow in their apartment complex and had broken 2 broomsticks over her back. Of course, these two were just cronies. The real campus tyrant was Kennedy. Relying on her family's money and her father's connections in the education system, she did whatever she wanted at school. Lily was far from her only victim. Based on the videos Quinn and Ashley had given Leo, at least 20 other students had been bullied by her, including several physically frail male students. The methods of bullying were each more depraved than the last, enough to make your blood boil just watching them on a screen. A few minutes later, a girl in a brown coat finally emerged from the university gate, hugging herself against the cold as she walked toward the 2 girls on the corner. What's wrong with you two? I've been texting you for ages and you don't reply. Why did you call me out here? Kennedy asked, looking at her 2 silent, hesitant friends. What is it? Say something. And Ashley, what happened to your face? Her mom hit her, Leo said, walking over with Eleanor, his expression grim. But I guess a thing like you, with a mother who gave birth but never taught you anything, will never get to experience that feeling. Who the fuck are you? Kennedy tilted her chin up, looking Leo up and down dismissively. Oh, let me guess. You're that bitch's boyfriend from yesterday. Kennedy had sensed something was off with her followers the moment she saw them. And since the only person they had bullied recently was Lily, she quickly put 2 and 2 together. You little punk, what do you think you can do? Kennedy threatened, completely unafraid. I bet you don't believe that if you touch me right now, I can make your whole family. Smack. Before Kennedy could finish her sentence, Leo slapped her across the face, sending her sprawling into the snow. She was stunned, clutching her burning cheek as she stared up at him in disbelief. I'm telling you today. System alert. Eleanor Hayes' affinity has increased by 2 points. Current affinity, 60. Please continue your efforts. Leo was just gearing up to unleash a torrent of epic, well-articulated clapbacks when a system notification chimed in his head, completely throwing him off. He turned to look at Eleanor. Her pretty face, half hidden by her scarf, was flushed, and she was breathing heavily. It seemed the sight of him hitting someone was turning her on, as if she wished the slap had landed on her own face. Sister, we're taking down a bully here. Can you please be serious? You hit me? Do you know who my father is? HM? What? Your mom didn't tell you? Or did she say there were too many guys that day? So, she's not sure who your real dad is. Leo took 2 steps forward, causing Kennedy to scramble backward. Stay away from me. It's true what they say. Rich people are terrified of the reckless and the ruthless. In Kennedy's eyes, Leo was exactly that kind of person, someone with no fear and no limits. People like him didn't care about power or status. If you crossed them, they were capable of anything. Make the call, Leo said, tilting his chin at her. Call your mommy and daddy to come save you. See if your old man has time right now. You're so dead. Kennedy shot Leo a venomous glare and quickly pulled out her phone to call her father. The phone rang for over a minute before someone finally answered. Dad, I'm at school and someone hit me. You have to come. Is this Kennedy Sherman, daughter of Ken Sherman? This is the police. We've received a report that your parents have been using their professional positions to solicit and illegally accept bribes in exchange for favors. They are currently being investigated for bribery. Please report to the Portland Police Bureau's Detective Division within 3 working days to assist with the investigation. Beep, beep, beep. Hearing the dial tone, Kennedy couldn't believe her ears. Her old man had just transferred money to her yesterday. How could he be at the police station today? In disbelief, she called her mother, but the same officer answered, reciting the same official script. Clearly, her parents' phones had been confiscated as evidence. Who are you? Kennedy looked at the unfamiliar boy, her face a mask of despair. You should be asking who she is. Leo pulled down Eleanor's scarf, revealing her stunningly beautiful face. Ahem. The little heiress cleared her throat importantly, putting her hands on her hips with a proud, smug look that screamed, That's right, I'm the boss. Who is she? Kennedy asked, completely bewildered. Eleanor. The truth was, not only did Kennedy not recognize Eleanor, but her parents probably had no idea that the girl standing before them was the daughter of Portland's wealthiest man. Harrison Hayes was not only good at keeping his family's information private, but they also operated on completely different levels. They weren't even in the same universe. Just as Leo was about to say something, a police car, siren blaring, pulled up to the curb. The 3 girls panicked. Ashley, the one with the weakest nerves, collapsed to the ground, crying. Who called the police? Where's the campus bullying? 2 officers got out of the car, their expressions serious as they surveyed the scene. This was 2024. Serious bullying cases were no longer swept under the rug. If the circumstances were severe enough, the perpetrators could spend the better part of their lives in prison. You'll find out at the station, Leo said, spitting on the ground in disgust. He handed his phone to the lead officer. Take a look at these videos. All right, Kennedy Sherman, Quinn, Ashley, you 3 are under investigation for assault and unlawful imprisonment. The officer's face grew grim as he watched the videos. He couldn't believe that these seemingly normal girls could be so vicious. Now, call your parents and tell them to meet you at the precinct. You're all coming with me. Around 1 in the afternoon, Isabel Vance arrived at the Portland Police Bureau's Detective Division with Lily Reed. The police needed to take her official statement. For the past 2 days, Isabel had been helping Lily move, while also providing comfort and emotional support. Leo hadn't hidden what happened from Isabel, and she was, of course, furious when she found out. She was already fond of the kind, simple girl, and now that Lily was mixed up with Leo, Isabel felt a pang of guilt. If Leo hadn't assured her he could handle it, the landlady would have dealt with the 3 vicious girls herself. The moment Lily arrived at the station, the parents of Ashley and Quinn rushed toward her as if she were their savior, crying and begging her to sign a leniency statement. They even forced their daughters to kneel before Lily, their faces streaked with tears as they begged for forgiveness. The preliminary assessment was that the 2 girls were facing at least 3 years in prison. No matter how horrible they were still their daughters, and the parents were desperate to find a way to mitigate the damage. As for Kennedy, there was too much evidence on her phone. She was just as arrogant and malicious off campus as she was on. While her parents had certainly padded their pockets with kickbacks, they were competent employees who brought significant profits to their company. Most bosses would turn a blind eye to such employees making a little extra on the side, as long as they weren't too greedy. Unfortunately for them, their daughter had kicked a hornet's nest, provoking someone on a completely different level. Before they could even start pulling strings and calling in favors, Harrison Hayes had already laid a trap for them. Their boss wasn't about to risk offending Harrison Hayes for two competent but replaceable employees. And what about Ken Sherman's connection at the Department of Education? What good was that now? If this had been an ordinary student, he might have been able to call in a favor to mediate and smooth things over. But when the department learned that Portland's richest man was pulling the strings, all of Ken Sherman's so-called connections wanted nothing to do with him. They cut ties so fast it was like he never existed. No one was willing to stick their neck out for him. In less than a day, Kennedy's entire world, her proud parents and their network of connections, had been completely dismantled. The three of them were now in jail, probably still trying to figure out who on earth they had managed to offend. What should I do? Lily asked, looking helplessly at the parents being held back by the officers. She turned the decision over to Leo. Do whatever you want to do, whether you sign it or not. Those two are going to prison, Leo explained calmly. But if you do sign, they'll serve less time. Whatever happens, I've got your back. You just have to make a choice. Lily looked at the wailing parents, then at the two bullies who were looking at her with pleading eyes. Her mind made up. She followed an officer to give her statement. If you ask me, those two should be locked up for life. Keep them from coming out and hurting anyone else, Isabel spat, looking at the two handcuffed girls with disgust. Lily was such a good girl. How could she have been bullied like that? Even Isabel, who was normally so good-tempered, was shaking with anger after watching the video. She had a lovely daughter of her own. The thought that Maddie might encounter monsters like these when she was older filled Isabel with a cold fury. Eleanor, we owe you a big thanks for this, Isabel said, greeting her with a smile. The landlady had been prepared to use her own connections to help Leo, but he had gone straight to the ultimate problem solver. In less than 2 days, Eleanor had all three girls brought to justice. Eleanor just shook her head, a sweet, innocent smile on her face. It's nothing. Leo is my good friend. He is, isn't he? Isabel shot Leo a meaningful look, a mixture of exasperation at his shameless philandering and admiration for his ability to command someone like Eleanor. Eleanor herself didn't have that kind of power in Portland. Without a doubt, it was her father, Harrison Hayes, who had pulled the strings. About half an hour later, an officer let a conflicted-looking Lily out. You signed it? Leo asked, seeing her troubled expression. Lily hesitated for a moment, then nodded firmly. It's done, then, Leo said with a soft sigh after a few seconds of silence. He didn't press the issue. It was exactly what he expected from her. Even though she was the victim, she couldn't bear to see their parents in so much pain. Some people could become hardened criminals in a matter of days. Others were destined to be kind and compassionate their entire lives. Let me introduce you. This is my friend, Eleanor Hayes, Leo said warmly, try to lighten the mood now that everything was resolved. Eleanor, this is my girlfriend, Lily Reed. Hi. Hello. Hearing Leo introduce Lily so formally as his girlfriend, Eleanor felt a pang of jealousy mixed with a thrill of excitement. Her breathing quickened noticeably. Isabel also tried to bridge the gap between them. Lily, Eleanor was a huge help in getting this resolved so quickly. Lily didn't notice the change in the heiress's demeanor. She just bowed sincerely. Thank you. Thank you so much. Don't mention it, Eleanor said, waving her hands in a flustered gesture. All right. Now that everything's settled, let's go home and have a nice meal to celebrate, Isabel said, her voice gentle. Lily, don't dwell on what happened. The bad people have been brought to justice. From now on, just focus on your studies. If anything ever comes up, we'll all be here to help you. Okay. Thank you, everyone, Lily replied, her voice thick with gratitude. Outside, snow was falling heavily in the cold winter air. But in that moment, Lily felt nothing but warmth in her heart. Driving back to the villa at Willow Creek Estates, Leo found that the once empty house had been transformed. Isabel and Lily had arranged it beautifully. It was fully stocked with all sorts of daily necessities, filling the large, cold space with a warm, welcoming atmosphere of a home. In the living room, Eleanor and Lily were unboxing packages. Isabel had ordered a mountain of household supplies online. The landlady had already started treating this place as her second home and was naturally determined to get everything in order. Leo came down from his upstairs bedroom and went into the kitchen, lowering his voice. Isabel, I saw your clothes and pajamas in the bedroom with Lily's. Have you two been sleeping together the past few days? And what about it? The landlady replied matter-of-factly. Lily's spirits had been low, and Leo hadn't been around to take care of her. Isabel had been staying with her every night. Nothing, just asking, Leo said with a sudden grin. His mind immediately conjured an image of the graceful Isabel holding the sad, vulnerable Lily in her arms as they slept together. He just wondered when he'd be able to join them. Isabel immediately sensed his dirty thoughts and gave him a playful pinch. You little brat, are you thinking about something lewd again? I've been framed, Leo said with a laugh, quickly changing the subject. Isabel, why don't you and Maddie move in here too? There are so many empty bedrooms upstairs they're probably collecting dust. Hush, and help me prep these vegetables. Isabel shot a glance at Lily, who was busy unpacking boxes in the living room, and handed him a basket, her expression complicated. She wanted to move in with him. That had been her plan from the beginning. Otherwise, she wouldn't have encouraged him to pursue the innocent girl. But their three-way relationship hadn't reached that stage yet. In Lily's eyes, Isabel was still an outsider. What reason did she have to intrude on their life together? Isabel, after the holidays, bring Maddie here to stay, Leo said in a low voice. I'm going to Lily's hometown for the holidays, and I'll bring her younger sister back with me. You can bring Maddie over to play with her. Once the two girls get to know each other, you can help get her sister enrolled in the same preschool as Maddie. Then, for all intents and purposes, Lily will have to agree to you moving in. She'll probably even thank you for it. You little devil, you've had this planned out all along, haven't you? Isabel was astonished by his seamless plan. No wonder you wanted to go home with her for the holidays. This was your endgame. I'm just thinking about the big picture. So what do you say, Isabel? Move in after the holidays? Leo didn't deny it. Then the five of us can be a family. Isn't that what you wanted before? Just prep the vegetables, she said, her face flushing at the mention of a family of five. But she didn't say yes, and she didn't say no. Leo knew she was giving him the green light. The landlady probably never dreamed that his plans involved a family much larger than just five. After a lively dinner, they all chatted in the living room for a while before Isabel left to pick up Maddie from preschool. Well, Leo, I should get going too, Eleanor said, standing up. Lily, I live in Building B. If you ever want to hang out, just text me. Okay. Thank you so much, Lily said. She really liked Eleanor's warm and kind personality. And after all the help she had provided, Lily was incredibly grateful to have her boyfriend's rich and powerful friend on her side. You're welcome. Bye. Eleanor waved goodbye with a smile, leaving Leo and Lily alone in the vast living room. An awkward silence fell between them. Have you gotten used to living here these past few days? Leo finally broke the quiet. Want me to show you around the neighborhood? Lily shook her head, then apologized, her voice full of remorse. I'm so sorry. I made you worry. Lily had never been the type to burden others, which was the main reason she had kept what happened at school to herself. Seeing Leo, Isabel, and Eleanor run around for her sake these past 2 days filled her with gratitude, but also a heavy sense of guilt. This was the most frustrating part of a people-pleasing personality. Damn it. Are you ever going to stop? Leo suddenly flared up, a nameless anger rising in him. Who the hell do you think I am to you? I'm your fucking boyfriend. If I don't take care of you, who will? Lily was stunned by his sudden outburst. She opened her mouth to explain, but didn't know where to start. And when I asked you before if someone was bullying you at school, you hid it from me. You said it was a misunderstanding. Leo continued, his anger growing. If I hadn't found out, you would have just let them keep bullying you? Lily lowered her head, silent. Everything he said was true. She didn't know how to explain herself. I ask you something, you don't answer. I have to guess everything. I'm not a goddamn psychic, and I don't have a camera on you. How am I supposed to know what you go through every day? After a long, frustrated rant, Leo sighed, feigning disappointment. Forget it. You clearly don't see me as your boyfriend anyway. I think we should just break up. No. Hearing those words, Lily, who had been meekly taking his scolding, shot her head up. She shook her head frantically, her voice cracking as she pleaded. I don't want to break up with you. I can't bear to lose you. No, this is too exhausting, Leo said, standing up wearily. This is it. After I take you home for the holidays, we'll go our separate ways. No. Lily threw her arms around his waist from behind, her grip surprisingly strong. Leo, I can't lose you. Please don't leave me. I was wrong. I was really wrong. Seeing that his threat had achieved its desired effect, Leo asked, so from now on, are you going to talk to me when something happens? I will. I will. Lily nodded frantically, her slender arms clamped around him like crab pincers. Let go. You're hurting me, Leo said with a hint of a smile in his voice. Lily immediately released him, her face a mixture of hurt and uncertainty, still reeling from the breakup threat. "Damn, you're such a sweet dummy." Her heart-wrenching expression tugged at his heartstrings. He pulled her into his arms and kissed her with a fierce, stormy passion. Lily's eyes widened in surprise for a moment. Then 2 lines of joyful tears streamed down her cheeks as she responded with equal boldness. The air in the quiet living room grew thick with their ragged breaths. Maybe it was the heightened emotions after a fight, or maybe it was the fact that they were all alone in a massive villa. They were completely lost in each other. Before he knew it, Leo had reflexively carried her into the bedroom. Inside the large room, he gently laid her down on the soft bed. He propped himself up on his hands on either side of her head and asked impatiently, "Baby, I'm going to bully you now, okay?" Lily shyly turned her head away, trying to avoid his intense gaze. Her tall frame curled up beneath him, a picture of sweet surrender. Leo knew that was a yes. Perhaps when it came to him, the simple, introverted girl had never had any intention of refusing. Remembering that he had just threatened to break up with her over a lack of communication, Lily found a sliver of courage and whispered shyly, "Bully me." When Leo woke, he felt like he was nestled between warm, soft mountain peaks. Lost in that intoxicating, gentle valley, he blearily opened his eyes. The first thing he saw was a sight that would make any man fall silent and any woman weep with envy. His gaze traveled up from the seemingly bottomless cleavage to a face as lovely as a peach blossom, sleeping with blissful contentment. Every so often, he heard the faint, weary sound of her breathing. It was clear Lily had been thoroughly exhausted last night. She had his head locked tight in her embrace, her pale chin resting gently on the crown of his head. Her beautiful sleeping face radiated a clinging, reluctant dependence. Feeling the plush weight of her legs still wrapped around his waist and her hands cradling the back of his head, Leo realized he'd become her personal body pillow. No wonder he'd been dreaming of milk and honey. I guess this is what they call a memory foam pillow, Leo thought, planting a soft kiss before carefully raising his arms to push her away. He moved gingerly, inching his way out of her embrace toward the headboard. He stopped when his eyes were level with the sleeping girl, gently stroking her still flushed cheek. The blush hadn't faded, making her normally fair skin look even more delicate, like a piece of warm, red-tinged jade you couldn't bear to put down. There was a seductive charm about her now, an almost innate wifely aura. As for her body heat, that seemed to be a personal quirk. Whenever he woke up in bed with Isabel or Chloe, they were always a little cool to the touch, needing time to warm up under the covers. Eleanor was the extreme case. That morning he woke up next to her in the hospital, he'd half thought he'd spent the night in a morgue, cuddling a corpse. But Lily was different. She was still radiating the afterglow, warm from her delicate face all the way down to her pale ankles. Leo happened to notice that his arm was pinning a large swath of her silky hair. When he lifted it, he saw a faint red mark on his skin, a testament to how long it had been trapped there. If it had been Chloe or Isabel, he would have gotten an earful the second it happened. A classic pouty complaint. "You jerk, you're on my hair." But Lily, probably not wanting to break the serene mood, hadn't made a sound, letting him press down on her hair as she leaned her entire upper body against him. Leo glanced out the window. It was still a blanket of white. A heavy snow must have fallen all night. He shifted, not wanting to get up just yet. Wrapping his arms around Lily's slender waist, he buried his face once more in her unforgettable, gentle warmth. The wind outside was biting, but in the shelter of her magnificent embrace, all was warm. They were in a different bedroom now. Yesterday's had been left in a state of utter, beautiful chaos, impossible to sleep in. About 3 hours later, the winter sun brightened. In a hazy dream, Leo felt his hand being guided by another, gently caressing a smooth, jade-like surface. Slowly opening his eyes, he saw the culprit. Lily was looking at him with a wounded, pitiful expression, holding his hand and pressing it against her own smooth, pale cheek. "What are you doing?" Leo murmured, stroking her face. "You're up early. Why not sleep a little more?" "I had a nightmare," Lily choked out, her voice thick with tears. "Oh," Leo asked, concerned. "What did you dream about?" "I dreamt you were mean to me again," she said, her expression full of genuine hurt. If Chloe or Isabel had said something like that waking up in bed, it would have been a playful bid for more affection, an excuse to stay tangled in the sheets. But when Lily said it, he knew she meant it. She wasn't hurt by what had happened last night. Leo's skills in bed were far too refined to leave any girl feeling anything but pleased. The word again told him everything. It was about the argument in the living room yesterday, the things he'd said that had almost broken them up. She was a sensitive, insecure girl at heart. Of course she'd be hurt after being yelled at by the man she loved, making him touch her face while he was asleep. It was such a childish move, a desperate, secret attempt to grasp at some semblance of comfort and security. "I'm sorry." Leo's heart softened. He pulled her tall, full-figured body into his arms, his hands gently cupping her smooth, delicate backside as he apologized sincerely. "It was all my fault. I was a jerk yesterday. Why didn't you yell at me a couple of times? Or hit me to let off some steam? I'm your boyfriend. It's okay." Lily just buried her face in his chest and nuzzled against him, shaking her head. "I couldn't." Her sincere, gentle words made Leo's heart clench. Who was this girl? 1. Kiss her passionately, confess your love, and suggest getting a marriage license after breakfast. You may break 100 affinity. 2. Tell her you'll put on a tab. If you ever make her angry again, she can hit you, or even call the cops and report you for domestic abuse. 3. Couldn't? I don't know about that. Remember last night? How many times were you on top of me? If this were the old Leo, he might have seriously considered driving to the courthouse that afternoon to marry this gentle, devoted woman. But that was then, and this was now. A player's heart is made of stone. His resolve couldn't crumble so easily. If he actually got married, what would happen to Isabel? To his elf princess? To his obsessed little rich girl? And what about his newly acquainted homeroom teacher, Claire Shelton? Wait, why did she just pop into my head? All right, we'll put on a tab, Leo said, a playful grin spreading across his face. Next time I piss you off, you can hit me. If that's not enough, call the cops and report me for domestic abuse. Lily lifted her eyes, a hint of a pout on her lips as she glanced at his teasing face. Then, she opened her cherry-like mouth and gave his shoulder a gentle bite. "We're even." "Ah, not yet," Leo said, stealing a kiss. His voice was muffled as he added, "Now I owe you again." A shiver ran through Lily. A blush crept up her cheeks as she looked down at the man in her arms. She raised a hand to gently stroke his messy hair, her shy expression melting into one of tender indulgence. "You're the worst," she whispered. "You just love to bully me." With Leo's help, Lily's only real fear at school had been eliminated. The very next day, Leo called Isabel and had her drive Lily to campus in her luxury car, making a conspicuous show of it. College was just a microcosm of the real world, and you were bound to run into students and even professors who looked down on people. Sometimes a little strategic flexing could be a powerful deterrent. Because of the bullying incident, Lily had become quite well known around PSU. While students sympathized with the kind-hearted girl, they also anonymously reported Kennedy and her cronies on the campus subreddit for their behavior. Kennedy was notorious in PSU's pre-med program. Relying on her parents' connections in the education sector, she had bullied no fewer than 20 students, usually shy, introverted girls from less affluent families. Like Lily, they were afraid of repercussions for their studies or their parents, so they never reported her or fought back, just silently endured it all. But today, something worth celebrating happened. Kennedy and her 2 thuggish sidekicks had, for some unknown reason, been permanently expelled. The university administration, having quietly investigated the full story and fearing a public relations nightmare they couldn't contain, offered no grand explanation. There was only a breezy announcement from the dean that the 3 had been expelled for personal reasons, followed by the news of an upcoming campus-wide assembly on confronting bullying. The timing was impeccable. The victim, Lily, had been out for 2 days. During those same 2 days, her 3 tormentors were expelled. And today, Lily was dropped off at school by a stunning woman in a high-end car. The student body, prone to wild speculation and conspiracy theories, began to wonder if Lily had some untouchable powerhouse backing her. Otherwise, how could Kennedy, whose father had connections, be ordered to withdraw within a single day? Gossip flies fast on a college campus. The PSU subreddit was now flooded with threads speculating on why Kennedy was expelled and who Lily really was. OMG, yes. So satisfying. Kennedy the psycho is finally gone. My sister is in her program, and Kennedy threw her comforter and pillow out a window just because my sis didn't buy her a bottle of water. I sat in front of Kennedy. She was always poking me with her pen or kicking the back of my heel. Acted like a damn middle schooler. I complained to the TA like 3 times, and nothing happened. Your pre-med program is pathetic. You let a psycho like that run wild. Why didn't someone just put her on blast on TikTok? Easy for you to say. Remember that guy who tried to expose a bully last year? He ended up transferring. So who do you guys think Kennedy pissed off? Was it really that girl from her class, Lily? Has to be. Lily was out for 2 days, Kennedy got the boot during that time, and today Lily gets dropped off in a luxury car by a total smoke show. I'm in the same class as Lily. She's super sweet. Even helped me sew the strap on my tote bag once. I cried when I saw that video of her getting bullied. True story, my dad works at Kennedy's dad's company. Heard her old man got arrested for embezzlement. The boss called the cops himself. Word is the amount was huge. He's looking at 10 years minimum. Just swung by the science building to see Lily for myself. She is gorgeous. And is that body for real? All right, that's it. Now that Kennedy the psycho is gone, I'm going to shoot my shot with Lily. Anyone know if she has a boyfriend? To the guy above me, I'm Lily's boyfriend. She's in my arms right now. Don't even think about it. Whatever had happened, the outcome was universally celebrated. It felt like finally getting rid of that tall, beefy, aggressive neighbor who always left his trash on your doorstep and would curse you out, or worse, if you tried to talk to him about it. Then one morning you wake up and he's just gone. How could you not feel ecstatic? In just a few days, Lily's popularity on the PSU subreddit skyrocketed. Any post about her got massive engagement. Add a few real photos to the thread, and the comments below were a unanimous chorus of "I can't take it." It was understandable. A figure that's stunning on a college student, especially one with such a beautiful face, was simply too much for most to handle. A goddess with the face of an angel. Just like that, Lily's popularity at PSU quickly eclipsed the buzz that had previously surrounded Chloe Miller, and she unexpectedly became the campus's new reigning queen. This hype was so intense that it wasn't just freshmen. Sophomores and juniors were making excuses to wander over to the pre-med building, all wanting a glimpse of the new it girl. In a matter of days, Lily received countless confessions of love from boys. Her locker would mysteriously be filled with snacks and cakes, and on one occasion, a brand new, unopened smartphone. Faced with these advances, Lily would politely listen, return the gifts, earnestly turn them down, and finally, state clearly that she already had a boyfriend. And so, just as when Chloe had announced she was taken, the campus forums were once again filled with the lamentations of heartbroken single guys. Inside the villa at Willow Creek Estates, warm air from the central heating filled the vast, quiet space. Leo sat on the sofa, his back tense, his breathing occasionally hitching, an expression of pure bliss on his face as he let out a long, contented sigh. "What's all this about a campus queen?" Leo muttered, scrolling through the PSU subreddit on his phone with one hand while pressing down on Lily's head with the other. He saw the emo comments from all the guys she'd rejected and couldn't help but laugh. She's just a sweet, silly girl from the countryside. He looked down at Lily and asked indulgently, "So, are you satisfied with your school life now?" Lily was sitting on the polished tile floor, her long, slender legs tucked neatly beneath her in a W-sit. She held onto his knees, working hard to lift her clear eyes to meet his. The corners of her mouth, below her puffed-out cheeks, curved into a gratified smile as she gently shook her head. "Good." Leo continued to press down on her head, sighing in contentment. If these guys could only see their goddess right now, he thought, working so hard to please me, I wonder what they would think. Chloe_no_8 AMs. It's so weird. I heard that Kennedy girl's parents were pretty influential, but she and her friends were expelled in less than 2 days. Offline mode. What's so weird about it? People like that who only know how to bully poorer students deserve to be expelled. It was a Friday night in the Willow Creek Estates villa. Leo, fresh from a shower, was lying in bed, happily texting Chloe. Chloe_no_8 AMs. Everyone at school is saying Lily must have someone powerful backing her up. Chloe_no_8 AMs. Otherwise, how could she get those 3 expelled so fast and even make the school hold an anti-bullying assembly? Anti-bullying assemblies were usually for elementary or middle school. You might see them occasionally in high school, depending on the area and the school's culture, but they were incredibly rare in college. Everyone was an adult, living in the age of social media. Unless you were a truly spoiled rich kid with no class, nobody engaged in that kind of childish bullying. PSU was a well-regarded university, and the incident hadn't gone viral, so for the administration to hold such a high-profile assembly to deter other students meant they had to have been pressured by some powerful entity. Offline mode. Who's Lily? Confused emoji. Chloe_no_8 AMs. The girl from that video I sent you. The one who was being bullied. Chloe_no_8 AMs. She's blowing up on the subreddit now. She's basically the new freshman class, girl. Haven't you been on our school's subreddit? Offline mode. Haven't checked. Anyway, in my heart, you'll always be my campus queen. All the other girls are just background characters. Rose emoji. Chloe_no_8 AMs. Well, obviously. Smug emoji. Chloe_no_AMs. Okay, I gotta go. Don't forget to come get me tomorrow, you big dummy. We're going to look at apartments around campus. After the holidays, the three of us are moving in together. Offline mode. Sound good. Is your bestie coming tomorrow too? Chloe_no_8 AMs. No, she's not. She's gotten herself into some trouble recently. Offline mode. Leo sat up straight, typing quickly. What happened? Did her dad go crazy again? Chloe_no_8 AMs. No, not that. It looks like she got doxxed. Some small-time streamer she met online has been threatening to come to Portland to settle things with her. She doesn't want to go home, so she's been hiding out at her dorm. Offline mode, I see. Is it serious? Maya had a habit of charming nerdy gamers into boosting her accounts and grinding levels for her, then promptly deleting and blocking them the moment they suggested meeting up. Playing with fire like that, it wasn't surprising that one or two extremists would eventually dox her. Chloe_no_8 AMs. Probably not. Worst case, she could just call the cops. It'll be fine. Offline mode. Well, if anything happens, you tell me. Your man has some connections in Portland. Smug emoji. Chloe_no_8 Okay. Chloe_no_8 AMs. By the way, dummy, when are you going to be free to video chat? My hands are getting sore from typing. Pouting piggy emoji. Ever since moving into the Willow Creek villa, Leo hadn't dared to video chat with Chloe. He was worried she'd see his new place and come looking for him, and even more worried she'd find out about Lily. So he lied, telling her he was in pre-production for a new film and busy auditioning actors, which meant his line was always tied up. Offline mode, what's the rush? Once we're living together, forget video chat. We can chat face-to-face and body-to-body. Devil emoji. Chloe_no_8 Perv. Puppy smacking a heart emoji. After a bit more small talk, Leo put his phone down just as Lily emerged from the bathroom. The moment she stepped into the bedroom, a jolt went through him, sending a surge of heat through his veins despite the winter cold. She was wearing a pure white, loose-fitting, and incredibly sexy satin nightgown. It was a high-low cut that draped over her hips, with no pajama bottoms underneath. Her long legs, freshly washed, were a flawless expanse of pale, rosy skin fully on display. Paired with her slightly uncomfortable expression, the effect was devastatingly pure, sultry, and alluring all at once. Leo, I think I bought the wrong size. It feels really tight. As if on purpose, Lily undid one of the strain buttons right in front of him. An expanse of snowy white threatened to spill out, and Leo's eyes went wide. Seeing his captivated expression, a fleeting look of triumph flashed across Lily's face. She walked over to him and shyly shifted her hips from side to side. What do you think? She asked nervously. Does it make me look too small? It's great. Not small at all, Leo said, his heart pounding as he averted his gaze. Lily had changed so much recently. At school or out in public, she was still the same introverted shy girl. But when they were alone at home, she became increasingly passionate and proactive, especially at night. Sometimes, Leo felt like he didn't even recognize this once timid girl. You're not even looking properly. Lily pouted, placing her hands on his head and turning his face toward her. Her expectant expression all but screamed, praise me. Ever since they had sealed the deal, it was like a switch had been flipped in Lily. She constantly, and with feigned innocence, showed off her magnificent figure. His praise was like a drug to her. She had even started buying sexier clothes online to model for him. At first, she'd been shy about it, but after he complimented her figure, she became obsessed, browsing Amazon whenever she had a spare moment, buying anything she thought was pretty to show him. On the surface, she was asking for his opinion, but in reality, this once introverted girl was simply craving the approval of the man she loved. Lily's body, of course, was flawless, a natural supermodel's frame. She was the perfect combination of slender when clothed and sensuously curvy when not. Everything looked good on her. Leo's frequent praise always sent her over the moon, and in her elation, she would even proactively suggest wearing these sexy outfits while they played some very daring games. Lily threw her arms around him, pulling him gently down onto the bed. Do you like it? She pleaded, her voice a seductive purr. Tell me I'm pretty. My baby looks beautiful in anything, Leo praised with a grin. You're so popular at school now, I'm afraid you're going to break up with me. Never, Lily whispered, kissing him hard. Her eyes held a mesmerizing, almost obsessive glint. I'll always be yours. And you will always be mine. For you, I can't slack off no matter how tired. I have to put on a show the next morning. Leo was woken up by his custom ringtone. He groggily picked up his phone and saw it was a call from Zach. What's up, Zach? Leo put the phone on speaker and set on a nightstand, lazily getting dressed. Lily was already gone, but the empty space next to him was still warm. She must have just gotten up, probably to make breakfast. Hey, Leo, you said I could come help you out, right? Well, I just quit my job today. I was thinking I could come check out your company. Oh, sure. Give me half an hour. I just woke up. I'll drive over soon. The recent explosion of short-form video content had made the photography industry brutally competitive, so Zach wanted to come work as a production assistant at Leo's company. Zach had experience, Leo's company was hiring, and the guy was his best friend since childhood. Of course, Leo didn't refuse. Also, I need you to come with me to look at a place later, Leo said, lowering his voice and glancing nervously down the hallway. I'm planning on buying a house near PSU to live with Chloe. You dog, you're really going to have a girl in every port. Zach's voice came through the speaker, dripping with a mixture of envy and resentment. What do you expect? Leo said matter-of-factly. I've got this one settled. I can't play favorites with the other one, can I? Yeah, whatever. Oh, and also, Jenna said she wants to come see your company too. Is that cool? Jenna. Leo paused for a second, then a knowing smile spread across his face. Sure, bring her along. My boy asked for a favor. How can I say no? Ever since Jenna had agreed to go out with Zach had been constantly hitting Leo up for advice, begging him to teach him how to talk to girls. Zach had been destined for a lifetime of simping, but after learning a few tricks from Leo, he'd actually managed to win Jenna over. The two were constantly posting couple pics on their social feeds, making Leo's other friends sick with envy. Of course, Leo was convinced they wouldn't last. He met Jenna. She was a gold digger and completely manipulative, acting sweet and innocent in front of a novice like Zach, but showing her true colors around anyone with more experience. He figured she just hadn't found a better option yet. The moment a guy with more money or better looks came along, she dropped Zach in a heartbeat. Leo didn't bother trying to warn Zach. It was pointless. A breakup was inevitable. A true simp will never learn his lesson until he's been thoroughly schooled by a toxic woman. After setting a meeting place, Leo finished getting dressed and went downstairs. The sound of light, happy footsteps echoed from the lavishly decorated living room. Lily was in the kitchen, wearing a pink apron, moving with the practiced grace of a wife who had been running a household for years. The winter sun was bright today. The sheets they had christened 2 nights ago were washed and hanging to dry by the private pool. In just a few days, Lily's touch had transformed the vast, cold villa into a place that felt like a home, filled with the warmth of life. They're both girls, both have a last name Reed, so why is the difference so vast? Leo mused. Hey, what smells so good? Leo whispered, sneaking up behind the tall girl and wrapping his arms around her. The feel of her full, soft body in his arms was indescribably satisfying. Lily truly had the aura of a perfect wife. Not only was she a natural at housework, but her body had a kind of timeless, womanly appeal. Combined with her youthful age, she was the perfect fusion of innocent maiden and devoted wife. Making something special just for you, Lily said, her hands pausing as she leaned back into his embrace. She loved this feeling. Perhaps all introverted girls cherish the sense of security that came from being held by their man. Didn't I just have some last night? Leo swayed gently with her in his arms, playfully alluding to their private joke. Don't talk about that, Lily stammered, her face turning crimson as she stared at the boiling noodles in the pot. He could see the blush spread down her pale neck, so intense that the fine hair stood on end. Clearly, last night's R-rated activities had provided her with a very thorough biology lesson. So cute, Leo said, playfully patting her pert behind. Going to brush my teeth. He swaggered off to the bathroom. After devouring the noodles, Leo was at the door, changing his shoes. Lily stood beside him, watching him with an unwavering gaze. Noticing a wrinkle on his shirt, she quickly reached out to smooth it, a small, contented smile on her face. Hubby's off to work. Come give wifey a hug. Leo opened his arms wide. Lily's face lit up as she rushed into his embrace, her soft, full body colliding with his. I might be busy for a while today. I might not be back tonight, Leo said, nibbling on her cheek. You can call Isabel and Maddie to come hang out. You guys can take the car and go have some fun. Okay, I will, Lily nodded. She quite liked the understanding landlady. Drive safe. Call me if you're coming back, so I can make you dinner. I'll be watching my phone, she instructed, hugging his waist tightly and looking up at him with pleading eyes. No problemo, Leo said, butchering a folksy Idaho phrase that made Lily giggle. What? Was my accent that bad? Leo frowned. I've been watching TikTokers from Idaho for nights, just so I could impress your family when I visit. Giddy up. How's that? Sound authentic? It's very authentic, Lily nodded, lying through her teeth. I don't believe you. If it was, you wouldn't be laughing so hard. Come on, you say something. Just say giddy up. Uh, I haven't spoken like that in so long. Lily trailed off, looking down shyly. Ever since leaving home, she almost never spoke in her local dialect in front of strangers, and she certainly couldn't bring herself to do it in front of the man she loved. It felt both awkward and embarrassing. You silly thing. I'm leaving, Leo said, not pushing her. He quickly stole another kiss from her cheek, grabbed his wallet and keys, and left. As the familiar sound of the car engine faded into the distance, Lily's face flushed a delicate pink. She whispered a string of barely audible words in her native dialect. My sweet potato, I love you to pieces. Stay with me, won't you? As he pulled up to the entrance of Portland State University, Leo saw Chloe standing in front of the Stone campus sign, holding up her phone and flashing a peace sign for a selfie. The weather was still bitterly cold, and she was bundled up from head to toe. She wore a plush white jacket, a light brown, cartoonish teddy bear bag slung over her shoulder, a brown scarf, and a coffee-colored beanie tilted slightly on her head. Between the scarf and the hat, her rosy cheeks and glistening cherry lips were visible, puffing out little clouds of white mist. Below her chestnut-colored skirt, she wore thick, fleece-lined stockings, leaving only a small portion of her pale thighs exposed. He had to admit, his bubbly 2004 vintage girlfriend had impeccable taste. After taking the picture, Chloe's fingers flew across the screen, her expression one of deep concentration. She was so absorbed that she didn't even notice his car pulling up beside her. He didn't have to guess. She was obviously editing the photo. This was something Leo would never understand. Why did girls who are already so beautiful, with flawless figures, always feel the need to edit their pictures? Did it really add that much? Leo rolled down the window. Seeing her still engrossed in her editing, he flashed a toothy grin. Hey there, beautiful. Need a ride? The fare's just one kiss. You bet. Chloe snapped out of her photo editing trance, a bright, youthful smile lighting up her face. She happily ran over, opened the passenger door, and plopped down beside him, planting a sweet kiss on his cheek. A wave of vibrant, youthful energy washed over him. This was probably the main reason men would always be drawn to younger women. They made you feel young, full of life. Just being with a girl this vivacious made him feel like he'd shed a few years. It was a quality that a mature beauty like Isabel, for all her charms, just didn't possess. Stop editing and put on your seatbelt. Chloe was still hunched over her phone. Leo leaned over and glanced at the screen. The photo showed a beautiful, confident Chloe posing in front of the PSU sign. Leo's mouth twitched. He started the car, grumbling, I really don't get you. You're already gorgeous. You have a great body. And the picture looks fantastic. Do you have to add flaws to it to be satisfied? All girls edit their photos, dummy, Chloe whined, completely misinterpreting his annoyed tone as affection. You should learn how to do it, too. All my roommates' boyfriends know how to take good pictures and edit them. Then when we go on trips, you could be in charge of photography and editing, and I'll be in charge of being beautiful. Forget it. I can barely work a camera. I mess it up, and then you just get mad. Leo shot back dismissively. He wouldn't learn to edit photos if his life depended on it, especially not just to appease a girlfriend. It was tedious and complicated. It could take 20 minutes to edit a single picture. Only a masochist would willingly learn that. Hey, why are you wearing those stockings again? Can't you just wear warm pants? Leo changed the subject, reaching out and flicking the fleece-lined fabric on her leg. It's freezing out, and you have to wear something that's going to attract all that attention. Who knows how many guys are going to be staring? Because it's cute. I just bought it online. And I wore it for you, Chloe complained, miffed at the sudden criticism. Then, as if realizing something, she winked playfully. Hee, dummy, are you getting jealous? Of course I am. My girlfriend is for my eyes only. You should wear stuff like this less when you go out. Wear it in your dorm for your roommates to see. Leo was genuinely a little jealous, but he knew it was unavoidable. Chloe was beautiful, had a great figure, and a confident, fashion-conscious personality. She loved wearing cute, stylish outfits. As her boyfriend, he couldn't very well ask her to go out wearing a burlap sack. That was unrealistic and overly sensitive. Guys could really get hung up on these little things, and even Leo wasn't immune. Seeing him so genuinely possessive for the first time, Chloe's face broke into a happy, satisfied smile. She took his right hand and placed it on the bare skin of her thigh, between the top of her stocking and the hem of her skirt, guiding it gently. See, dummy, she said, her voice full of playful triumph. This is an experience no other guy gets to have. Feeling the soft, smooth skin under his hand, Leo paused for a moment, then smiled in satisfaction. That's true. Hey, you can touch, but why do you have to? Get handsy, Chloe grumbled, her face flushing, but she made no move to push his mischievous hand away, just stared at her naughty boyfriend with a cute, long-suffering look. "We're going to pick up my friend over by the waterfront," Leo said, his face a mask of innocence, though his hand continued its exploration, albeit a little less boldly. His words were a complete non sequitur. "He's bringing his girlfriend to hang out with us today." "Your friend's girlfriend? Is she pretty?" Chloe asked, her eyes blinking earnestly as an unconscious sense of competition flickered within her. It was a common trait in most girls. Whenever their boyfriend was taking them to meet another woman, even a friend's girlfriend, they would instinctively compare themselves to her. It was a childish but endearing part of their nature. "She's okay. If you're a 9, she's maybe a 7, Leo said, not wanting to badmouth Jenna. He was giving an honest assessment of her looks. Even if she was a manipulative gold digger, as long as she and Zach were together, Leo wouldn't say a bad word about her. He'd probably even have to politely call her his friend's old lady. "A 7. Okay," Chloe murmured seriously. Then, as if preparing for battle, she pulled out the cosmetics from her teddy bear bag. She flipped open the car's vanity mirror and began to meticulously touch up her makeup. "Here, dummy," she said, handing the open tube of lip balm to Leo before returning to her work. "It's winter, your lips will get chapped. Put some of this on." Girls, Leo sighed, half exasperated, half amused. But he took the lip balm, not wanting to waste his girlfriend's gesture, and clumsily applied it. He thought, why does this taste so sweet? By the snow-covered Portland waterfront, Zach was diligently taking photos of his girlfriend, Jenna, with a camera. His coat pocket was already stuffed with several slightly curled pictures. Click! The instant camera spat out another warm photograph. Zach looked at the picture of his beautiful girlfriend and smiled, a simple, satisfied grin. "Let me see." Jenna crunched through the thick snow toward him, taking the photo with a cool tone. She studied it, her brow furrowing slightly. How are these getting worse? The first one was better. For a professional photographer, to be told his work was bad was a blow to the ego. But Zach treasured this girlfriend, the one he had poured so much time, energy, and money into winning over. He just gave a sheepish smile and, after a moment, offered some praise. "No, I think it looks great. Maybe the snow is making the background a bit blurry. Want to take another one?" "Forget it. If you're not tired of taking them, I'm tired of posing," Jenna said, rolling her eyes impatiently. She massaged her aching shoulders and looked toward the busy street. "Where is Leo? Doesn't he know how to drive faster in this snow?" "He said he's close," Zach said, putting his phone away. His voice trembled slightly as he asked, "Jenna, this is our first time here at the waterfront together. You want to take a picture together?" Jenna glanced at him discreetly, her eyes darting around to check for onlookers. Seeing that the coast was mostly clear, she agreed. "Sure, let's do it." Great. Zach was ecstatic. He set the camera's self-timer and quickly moved to her side, his arm wrapping around her waist with a nervous, unfamiliar excitement. A wave of unparalleled achievement washed over him. Jenna glanced at him, her expression indifferent. Only when she remembered the camera did she force a strained smile. As the shutter timer ticked down, Zach turned to look at Jenna's pretty face and swallowed hard. He and Jenna had been dating for almost 3 months, and this was the most intimate they'd ever been. Every man wants to be close to the woman he likes, to do things that are intimate, even R-rated. Zach was no exception. He desperately wanted to take things further, to hug her, to kiss her. But he had no experience and no idea how to smoothly bring it up. Just then, something Leo had told him popped into his head. The handsome guys have girlfriends, the ugly guys have girlfriends, only the cowards are single. It was a line you saw everywhere in online dating advice videos. But now that he was on the front lines, Zach felt a paralyzing nervousness, like a python was coiling around his chest. Suddenly, a little devil and a little angel appeared on his shoulders. "Devil, just go for it. She's letting you put your arm around her. She probably won't say no. If you pull this off, next time you can kiss her. And after that, who knows, maybe a home run. Angel, no, that's so cringe. You should tell her you want to take things further before you meet up next time. That way, if she turns you down over text, it won't be as embarrassing. And a home run? That's for when you're getting married." Zach's mind was a battlefield. In the final second before the shutter clicked, he kicked the angel off his shoulder, clenched his fists, and swiftly leaned in to kiss Jenna's cheek. He couldn't help but repeat a mantra in his head. "You'll never know how brave you are until you make a move. Screw it. Fortune favors the bold." But it was as if Jenna had sensed it coming. The moment he moved in, she reacted instantly, turning her head to dodge the kiss. A look of surprised disgust flashed across her face as she instinctively pushed the desperate Zach away. Click! The camera shutter captured the excruciatingly awkward moment. Seeing the look of pure relief on Jenna's face, Zach's hopeful, nervous heart plummeted into an abyss. It felt as if he had traded a moment of courage for a lifetime of introversion. The motivational platitudes about bravery always winning were shattered. It was just like that other online joke, you'll never know what a clown you are until you make a move. He hadn't been a coward, but he hadn't gotten the girl either. He'd forgotten the first part of Leo's advice. The girl has to at least have some feelings for you. Otherwise, no matter how hard you try to close the distance, you'll only fail. I wasn't ready, Jenna said with a forced smile, trying to sound shy when she saw the look of dawning disappointment on Zach's face. We've only been dating for a little while. We should probably wait a bit longer. Yeah, you're right, Zach mumbled. Her plausible deniability made the Bronze League player feel a little better. He even started to think he was the one who had overreacted. Kissing her without any warning was definitely too forward. Maybe next time will be different. Okay, don't look so down, Jenna said, stepping forward and taking his hand with a placating smile. Honey, what do you want to drink? I'll go buy us something. The unexpected term of endearment made Zach, who was already blaming himself, blush furiously. His breathing quickened as he stammered, Water is fine. Okay, I'll be right back, Jenna said with a sweet smile, then walked toward a nearby convenience store. Damn it, don't be so reckless next time, Zach muttered to himself, glaring at the undeveloped photo in the camera. But as he looked at the undisguised disgust on Jenna's face in the picture, a shadow fell over his own. He wasn't sure if he was cursing his reckless self from a moment ago, or the self-deceiving fool he was right now. Ugh, this kid is getting way too bold. Give him an inch, and he thinks he's a ruler, Jenna muttered as she walked back from the store with the water. She saw Zach standing in the distance, fiddling unhappily with the camera, and the memory of his failed attempt made her grimace with undisguised revulsion. I need to find a way to put some distance between us. Yo, how's it going? Just then, a sleek BMW M8 pulled up beside her. Leo looked out the window at the muttering Jenna and asked curiously, What are you whispering about? Excuse me, do I know you? Jenna's heart skipped a beat. Her voice instinctively shifted into a higher, more polite register, laced with a hint of excitement. This sunny, handsome guy was a world away from the introverted Zach. Not only was he handsome, he was in great shape. More importantly, he was probably rich. This BMW was clearly no ordinary model. Its design and build were far sleeker than a standard one. It's me, Leo, he said, making a telescope with his hands and grinning. It hasn't been that long. Have you already forgotten me? You're Leo? Jenna was stunned, looking him up and down in disbelief. She'd heard Zach talk about Leo and had met him a few times in the past. She vaguely remembered him as a nerdy web fiction author who would blush just talking to a girl. He hadn't left much of an impression. No guy praises another man in front of his girlfriend, and Zach was no exception. He'd never mentioned Leo's recent transformation or his financial success, just glossed over it, afraid his girlfriend's attention might be diverted. So Jenna couldn't believe that the confident, handsome man in front of her was the same withdrawn nerd from before. Leo, you've been, Jenna began, a fawning, excited smile on her face. She placed her hands on the car's open window, about to say more, when she suddenly noticed there was another girl in the passenger seat. Women are competitive creatures. The moment she saw Chloe, she rapidly assessed her looks, her body, and even her outfit, quickly comparing them to her own. In just a few seconds, Jenna had already admitted defeat, and her hand slipped quietly from the window frame. The girl in the passenger seat was clearly important. You couldn't try to steal a man right in front of his queen. Still, a part of her couldn't give up. She gave a small, sheepish smile. Leo, and this is my girlfriend, Chloe, Leo introduced her warmly. Hi there, Chloe said with a friendly smile, giving a little wave. She felt a strong sense of control over the already defeated Jenna. Oh, I see, Jenna said, her smile now a bit strained but still polite. Leo, your girlfriend is really beautiful. The reason Jenna had Zach wrapped around her finger was her ability to talk. She knew what to say in any situation and was an expert at providing emotional validation. She's all right, Leo shrugged dismissively. To be honest, I don't really get the hype about her looks. I'm more into her personality. A girl with low self-esteem might have heard that and wondered if her boyfriend thought she was ugly. But a confident girl like Chloe just beamed, knowing Leo was complimenting both her beauty and her character. What took you so long? Zach walked over, the camera still hanging around his neck. He began the formal introductions. Jenna, this is Leo, you've met him before. And this is his girlfriend, Chloe. I know, let's just get in the car. It's snowing hard, Jenna interrupted, not wanting to hear Zach finish. She opened the back door and slid in, leaving Zach standing awkwardly outside. She knew that after introducing Leo and Chloe, Zach would introduce them as a couple. Having just been bested, the vain Jenna didn't want to admit in front of Chloe that Zach was her boyfriend. It felt embarrassingly beneath her. Haha, she's got a temper, Zach said, giving Leo an awkward smile, trying to diffuse the strange tension. Get in, Leo said with a quiet sigh, seeing his friend's miserable state. He didn't say anything else. Once they were in the car, Jenna immediately started snapping pictures with her phone, the sound of the shutter filling the cabin. After posting several times to her social media, she leaned forward eagerly to talk to Leo. Leo, how much did this car cost? The interior is beautiful. Not much. A little over $200,000, Leo said with a casual humble brag. The interior is nice, but it's not that comfortable to drive. I'm thinking of trading it in soon. If Zach had brought a normal girlfriend, Leo would never have flaunted his wealth like this. It would have helped his friend save face and wouldn't have damaged their relationship. But Jenna wasn't a normal girlfriend. The only reason he was being polite to her was for Zach's sake. He wanted Zach to see exactly how vain she was when faced with money, so that when they eventually broke up, it would be a clean break. Over $200,000? Jenna stared at the sleek black steering wheel in disbelief. She never would have imagined that the gloomy nerd from before would now be driving such an incredible car. Leo, what have you been up to lately? Jenna was practically leaning into his ear. Zach said you were doing something with short videos? Does that really make that much money? It brings in a few $100 million a month, I guess, Leo said with a sigh of regret. The main problem is I got into the market too late. I'm just picking up the scraps. Otherwise, it would be a lot more. But it's fine. Once my company is officially up and running, I'll be making even more. A few $100 million. You have a company. Jenna's breathing hitched. She couldn't process such a dramatic change in his financial status. She even wondered if he was bluffing or maybe making illegal films for some offshore casino. How else could someone make that much money? You couldn't make that much robbing a bank. But then she remembered the $200,000 luxury car she was sitting in, and she grudgingly accepted the unbelievable truth. A few $100 million a month. It was an income most people couldn't even dream of. Compared to the $4,000 a month Zach made, the gap felt enormous. Why couldn't her boyfriend be this handsome, this successful? Chloe had been wondering why Leo was so openly bragging about his income in front of his friend's girlfriend. It was completely out of character for him. But when Leo shot her a meaningful glance, she understood. Looking in the rearview mirror at Jenna's excited, vain expression and Zach's dejected face beside her, she realized what her boyfriend was doing. He was helping his best friend see this woman's true colors. P.S. Was out late. Sorry for the late update. In the BMW, the conversation was almost entirely driven by Jenna, who chattered excitedly with Leo, completely ignoring the crestfallen Zach beside her. Jenna was exceptionally good at reading people. When she sensed Chloe's mood souring, she immediately switched to topics girls usually discussed, careful not to say anything overtly flirtatious to Leo. Chloe was no slouch in conversation either. Although she didn't particularly like this transparently vain girl, she felt she had to be polite for the sake of her boyfriend's friend, so she chatted along amiably. Leo was focused on driving and navigating the traffic, so he barely participated in the girls' conversation. Zach felt that since his girlfriend and his friend's girlfriend were getting along so well, he, as the boyfriend, shouldn't just sit there silently. He racked his brain, trying to find a way to break into their conversation. They were talking about celebrities and makeup, and Zach couldn't find an opening. But when the topic shifted to fashion, he noticed two girls on the sidewalk wearing fleece-lined leggings. A light bulb went off. He leaned forward with a nervous smile. Speaking of which, it's so cold out. Some women really aren't afraid of the cold. His sudden interjection drew the attention of both girls. He continued, trying to sound authoritative. Have you noticed? Every winter, you see these women who are willing to die for fashion. They're wearing thick parkas on top, but then just sheer stockings on the bottom. I guarantee you, those women are going to have terrible arthritis when they get older. As soon as the words left his mouth, the chatter in the car died. The silence was chilling, so thick you could cut it with a knife. Even Leo glanced up at him in the rearview mirror, surprised. Jenna's sharp gaze was fixed on Zach, her face a mask of undisguised contempt and disgust. The words, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all, were practically written on her forehead. Even the usually composed Chloe was rendered speechless by his comment. She turned away, a helpless, pitying smile on her face, and instinctively shifted in her seat, using her teddy bear bag to cover her legs, clearly done with the conversation. Chloe knew Zach didn't mean any harm. She'd known her boyfriend's friend was clueless from the moment he got in the car. But the comment was still hurtful, as if he were pointing a finger right at her. Zach felt the atmosphere in the car drop below freezing. He tensed up, not understanding what he'd said wrong. It was only when he happened to see that Jenna was also wearing fleece-lined leggings and noticed Chloe's averted legs and the teddy bear bag that he realized the magnitude of his blunder. He had managed to offend both his own girlfriend and his best friend's girlfriend with a single sentence. "No, you misunderstood. I wasn't talking about you two. You guys look great. I meant them." "Oh, not them either. I mean. Already uncomfortable in this social setting, Zach was now flustered by his faux pas. He started to stammer, his words a jumbled mess. Despite the winter cold, he broke out in a nervous sweat. "Zach, you just don't get it," Leo said with a smile, coming to the rescue. "Fresh milk needs to be kept warm, but long-stemmed roses need to be chilled. It's simple food storage, man. Don't you know that?" "Ha ha ha, you're awful." Chloe couldn't hold it in any longer and burst out laughing, playfully slapping Leo's arm. "Ha, Leo, where do you learn these things?" Jenna laughed too, covering her mouth. In an instant, the tense atmosphere in the car evaporated. "Sigh," Zach mumbled, a mixture of gratitude and resignation on his face. He instinctively scooted away from Jenna, resolving not to participate in the girls' conversation ever again. "Whoa, Leo, is this your company?" Leo drove the three of them to his nearly completed media company building. Jenna stared up at the luxurious, modern skyscraper, her voice filled with envy. "This is a prime downtown location. It must be incredibly expensive. How much per square foot? Which floor did you buy?" "Not a floor. The whole building is mine," Leo explained casually. "Didn't you see the logo on the roof? That's my company's name." The whole thing." Jenna's voice trembled as she counted the floors. "You're telling me this entire 32-story commercial building is yours?" It wasn't just Jenna. Chloe and Zach were equally stunned. This was the most bustling commercial center in Portland, with the highest foot traffic. A tiny storefront of a few hundred square feet could sell for millions. An entire 32-story building. How much was that worth? "All mine. It was crazy expensive when I bought it. Cost me a few $100 million, Leo said with a pained expression. "But then I thought about the team's growth and future needs, so I just gritted my teeth and bought it." You're incredible," Jenna sighed, a mix of admiration and regret in her voice. She glanced at Zach, with the camera still hanging around his neck, and felt a wave of exhaustion. Why were the good men always taken by someone else, while she was stuck with underachievers? "You've been doing all this, and you never said a word to me," Chloe said, clinging to Leo's arm. She was still reeling from the shock of the building. Leo's mouth twitched almost imperceptibly. "There's a lot I haven't told you," he thought. "I'd love to tell you, but I'm afraid your dad would kill me." "What's there to talk about?" Leo said, wrapping his arm around Chloe's waist with a nonchalant smile. "Money is either for spending or for making more money. You can't just let it sit in a bank and collect interest, right? Well, you have to work hard from now on. If there's anything I can do to help, you have to let me know," Chloe said. She knew Leo was making movies, but she had no idea what that entailed. She wouldn't pretend to understand or offer unsolicited advice on things she knew nothing about. All she could do was offer her support. "No problem," Leo nodded without hesitation. Then he turned to the other two. "All right, let's go inside. I'll give you the grand tour. After that, we'll go look at houses, then find a place for dinner." The renovation of Leo's media company was in its final stages. He estimated that after the holidays, once the HR department had filled all the positions, the company would be ready to officially launch. The building was massive. A full tour of all 32 floors would take at least a couple of hours. So, Leo just showed them the audition hall, his future office, and the prop storage room. The building was currently filled with construction workers. They all knew Leo was the owner and greeted him with friendly enthusiasm. As for the three people with him, the workers didn't know them and didn't dare to guess their relationship to the boss, so they just gave polite nods. Even though Chloe was clinging to Leo's arm the entire time, looking every bit the girlfriend, none of the workers would have dared to call her his old lady. These were industry veterans who had worked on sets for all kinds of famous directors and celebrities. They knew that a director's life was a revolving door of scandals and women. To presume to define the status of any woman by a director's side was a cardinal sin in this business. Leo had counted on this. It was the only reason he dared to bring Chloe to see his company. Otherwise, you couldn't have paid him to tell her where he worked. If she came by and heard any rumors, she would definitely demand a full explanation. Leo's office was the most luxurious, with the best view. It even had a dedicated lounge for meetings and relaxation, complete with a small, pristine bed. The floor-to-ceiling windows behind his desk offered a panoramic view of the bustling city of Portland. Just standing there felt like being king of the world. Chloe was bent at the waist, peering out the window like a schoolgirl on a field trip, gasping with excitement at the sprawling city below. Leo could now tell a lot about a person's character just from their unconscious actions. A bubbly girl like Chloe was more captivated by the snow-covered scenery outside than the luxurious interior. It confirmed that she was lively and fun-loving, not overly concerned with money. It was why she'd wanted to go to an amusement park for Valentine's Day. For his elf princess, the location and other people were secondary. All that mattered was having fun with the person she liked. Lily, on the other hand, was a bit afraid of heights. She probably wouldn't dare to stand by the window, instead lingering nervously by the door. He'd have to forcefully call her over, and only then might she sit on his lap, letting him bully her as he pleased in his office. It showed her introverted and insecure nature, her tendency to shy away from the outside world. Only he could draw her out. Isabel would probably be helping him with whatever she could, and when things were quiet, they could drink coffee and chat. If he really pushed for it, she might even agree to change into a sexy professional power suit, and then they could retire to the lounge to discuss life. A woman like her didn't have any single, glaringly obvious virtue, but she was the most suited for marriage, the one who understood a man's needs best. As for Eleanor Hayes, she could exhibit any of the above behaviors. Since the social media incident, the little rich girl's personality had shifted from cold and aloof to playful and lively. She would definitely be eager to sit on his lap, and with her sharp mind, she could even help him with his work. But Leo suspected that the most likely thing Eleanor would do in his office would be to kneel on the floor, hiding in the space between his desk and his chair. His curved desk was enormous, with plenty of legroom, enough to hide two women comfortably. In the future, the little rich girl would very likely be hiding there, doing unspeakable things to him. Should I take her to the lounge then? Or just resign myself to my fate? Leo's fantasy was shattered by the incessant clicking of Zach's camera. Ever since they'd entered the office, Jenna had been directing Zach to take nonstop photos of her. The shutter sound was relentless, and it wasn't an exaggeration to say they had photographed every nook and cranny of his office. After another picture was printed, Zach caught Leo's sympathetic gaze and gave a helpless smile. She just loves taking pictures. It's not a problem, is it? No problem, shoot away. You want me to bring up a professional camera rig? You know I've got plenty of those, Leo said with an indifferent smile. Haha, no. That's okay, Zach said with a polite refusal, then went back to taking pictures of Jenna, the clicking sound resuming its frantic pace. I hope he figures it out soon, Leo thought, shaking his head. He walked over to Chloe and gave her swaying backside a playful swat. What was that for? Chloe yelped, her face flushing as she covered her pert rear, baring her sharp little canine teeth in a mock snarl. He for fun, Leo drawled. Chloe glanced nervously at the two by the door, her heart pounding. She slapped his arm lightly. Stop it, there are people here. It's fine. They're lost in their own little world of simping and being simped for, Leo said, gently tracing one of her sharp little teeth. The fantasy he'd just had about Eleanor vanished completely. I'll bite you, Chloe said, nipping his finger like a little vampire. You silly girl, Leo said, a playful mood taking over. He pinched her smooth, soft cheeks and gently pulled them upwards. What was the point of having a girlfriend if you couldn't tease her? Leo, you dummy, stop it. I'm getting mad. Leo wasn't pulling hard, but the childish gesture annoyed Chloe to no end. She flailed her arms, her eyes narrowing as she rose onto her tiptoes with his pulling motion. Her fierce but helpless expression was a perfect imitation of a cute emoji she often used. Leo roared with laughter. Chloe was just too much fun, adorable, fierce, and cute all at once. After tormenting her for a bit longer, he planted a loud kiss on her cheek, then wrapped his arm around the still pummeling elf princess. All right, let's go, he said to the pair by the door. You've seen everything. Help me look at a house, and then we'll find a place for dinner. After lunch, Leo drove the group to a luxury villa development called Timeless Impressions. While the villas at Timeless Impressions couldn't compare to the ultra-exclusive Willow Creek estates, their location was just as prime. The transportation links were excellent, the scenery was beautiful, and the air quality was good. Situated perfectly between a bustling commercial district and Portland State University, it was practically on the edge of a prime school district, with the average price per square foot at a staggering $7,000. In other cities, that price might shock people who would complain that an ordinary person could never afford a house in Portland. But in the materialistic world of Portland, the locals were used to it. They had seen far more outrageous real estate prices. Leo, what are we doing here? Chloe asked, her eyes wide as she looked up at the four gilded words, timeless impressions, on the roof of the sales center. Aren't we supposed to be renting? Why do we come here? Renting? I'm loaded. Why would I need to rent? Leo scoffed, intentionally speaking loud enough for Jenna to hear. If your best friend found out, she'd say I was mistreating you. Normally, Chloe would have been delighted to hear that. But now, standing at the entrance of the sales center, faced with the reality of buying a house, she felt a wave of anxiety. Buying a house wasn't a small matter. Not only did she not have the money, but Leo would have to cover the down payment, or even the full price. More importantly, she hadn't discussed it with her parents yet. If her parents found out that she had gone off to buy a house with Leo, and such an expensive one at that, without saying a word, she would be in for a serious lecture. I think I should talk to my parents first, Chloe said, her hand trembling as she took out her phone to call them. Hey, we're going to have to buy one sooner or later anyway. Don't overthink it. Just pick one you like, Leo said, pressing the end call button on her phone. He wrapped his arm around her waist and started walking toward the sales center, chattering away nonchalantly. You can talk to your parents after we buy it. It's not like they're going to object to us being together, are they? Lily was already living in a luxurious villa. If he could find another one in Portland at the same price point as Willow Creek, he would have bought it for Chloe in a heartbeat. He was a firm believer in keeping things fair. And so, Chloe was half pushed, half persuaded into the sales center with Leo. The other two, after a moment's hesitation, followed quietly behind. Watching the couple in front of them, and remembering Leo's bold words, Jenna sighed with envy. She glanced at the tall Zach beside her and opened her mouth as if to say something. But in the end, she said nothing. Zach, however, caught this subtle glance. He could even guess what she had been about to say. Reflecting on the day's events and his friend's unintentional flexing, he felt a profound weariness wash over him, a sense of anxiety unlike anything he had ever felt before. The four of them stepped onto the gleaming porcelain tiles of the Timeless Impression Sales Center, their eyes taking in the opulent, gilded decor. They were a mix of nervous and excited. Buying a house held a special kind of significance for everyone. It was a sign that you wanted to put down roots in a city you loved, to find your own sense of belonging, or that you had found the one and wanted to build a life with them. A home was a sanctuary, and buying a house was really about buying that feeling of home. There was a unique sense of belonging that came with living in a place you owned. As they walked in, a heavily made-up woman in black stockings glanced at them, a flicker of annoyance in her eyes. They looked like college students, probably just here to sightsee. The guy with the camera slung around his neck and the girl striking poses by the model of the development only confirmed her suspicions. No salesperson wanted to waste their breath on tourists who had no intention of buying. Sales was a commission-based job. The more expensive the property you sold, the bigger your cut. She wasn't about to waste her time on a dead-end lead. Excuse me, hi, I'm here to... Lynn, the saleswoman said, her eyes flicking away from Leo as she called over a college student working part-time. Go take care of these guests. The student, named Lynn, had just finished with several groups of clients and was already sweating. Cheryl, I'm a little thirsty. Can I take a break? She asked quietly. Now, Lynn, that's not the right attitude, the saleswoman said, her tone patronizing. You're new here. You need to learn how to interact with clients. Business has been slow lately. You can't waste an opportunity like this. Besides, you said you were shy, right? Talking to more clients will help you practice your communication skills. Okay, the student sighed, wiping the sweat from her forehead. She picked up a stack of thick brochures, forced a warm smile, and walked toward Leo's group. Idiot, the saleswoman, Cheryl, snorted dismissively after the naive student had left, then went back to leisurely scrolling through TikTok. Leo glanced at the unhelpful saleswoman, but didn't say anything, turning his attention to the presentation Lynn was giving them. This one's nice, but it's right by the road. It might be a little noisy at night. This one's great, Chloe. It's close to campus, so it'll be convenient for you to get a class. It is, but Leo, isn't it too expensive? It's over $8 million. We should find something cheaper. What's expensive? I've got the money. Let's get this one. What do you think? I don't know, Leo. Maybe I should just call my parents and ask. No, it's fine. This one it is. Now, about your parking situation. Cheryl, who had been slacking off at the reception desk, suddenly realized that the conversation between the young people and the idiot in turn was starting to sound serious. It seemed like they were actually going to buy something, not just take pictures. And from the sounds of it, a deal was about to be made. Hello. I'm so sorry. Our employee is new and may have missed some important details, Cheryl said, suddenly appearing at their side. She had clicked over in her high heels, her tone now syrupy sweet and eager. You were saying there was an issue with the parking? P.S. I'm home now, Updates will return to normal tomorrow.